And we're live. Hello and welcome back to PJ Maybe's channel. And again, we have got the pleasure of Windology and Darren. So thank you both for joining me in such short notice.
You're welcome.
The pleasure of Windology and Darren. I'm getting an echo. Is that
I
me?
can hear it, yeah.
Such short notice. Right. I better double check, make sure I've not got anything running in the background.
It's like the plot of White Hole already.
It's par for the course today. Is that me? I do beg your pardon. That might be me.
It's like the plot of White Hole already.
Yeah, I can hear.
I've stopped mine. Mine's not running.
It's Darren.
It's par for the course today.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it would be me, because normally I don't get an echo back, but I've got my headphones here just in case.
I'm not.
Right, let's see if I mute mine. Let's see if I mute mine.
Let's have a look.
I'm not.
Right, let's see if I mute mine. Let's see if I mute mine.
Right, everything's shut down here.
Darren, yours is actually, there's a pulse on yours as if there's getting some.
Yeah, I can hear.
Darren, yours is actually, there's a pulse on yours as if there's getting some.
Yeah, I can hear.
Right, Darren, you want to try your mute? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we seem to having a wee bit of a...
There we go.
I bet you there's other people out there today who are having the same problems with technology. It just seems to have been a funny old week for technology.
Yeah.
There's been a full moon, hasn't there?
That's...
Let's blame the full moon.
Same problems with technology. It just
Yeah, the echo's coming from Darren. I can see anytime I can hear it. You're now around the icon, you get the pulsating. I'm not getting any echoes at the moment.
That sounds better.
It definitely does. So, where were we? Hello and welcome back, and thank you. So, season 4. What did you think? And an overall, what did you think compared to season 3, or even the previous 3?
I loved it. I quite enjoyed it. It's got one of my favorite episodes in it.
Put the door open. That could be.
There you go. It's got one of my favorite episodes in it. It's trying to think of the title of it. Bear with me. The one where
Don't tell me Dimension Jump Ace.
Yeah, that'll be it. That'll be it. That was. It never gets old, that one. I love it.
I'm the same, but it's actually Meltdown. I just love Elvis.
Oh God, that was funny. Yeah.
And he's also, you've got Stan Laurel on it, so it's always a plus.
I know. I'm finding the seasons getting better and better, definitely, because I'm still sort of seeing a lot of these for the first time. So it's been a lot of fun. Darren's, I'm sure, seen them all before, but I like them all. I would have to say, just looking back through, DNA was funny as well. There was some absolutely hilarious
some classic lines in DNA.
Yeah.
But Camille was...
Yeah.
First time I saw Camille, I didn't know if I liked it or not.
Yeah.
And the more you watch it, the more enjoyable it is. Because you realise some of the things they did in it was actually quite good. And obviously that blob monster was just hilariously funny. And obviously seeing the extras about the issues with the blob monster and things it did was...
Oh, I haven't seen those. I have seen a couple of things here.
Oh, it's just like, for instance, when they were doing the drinks and the blob monster was trying to holding it up and it would constantly fall, and because the person inside it just
probably couldn't.
It was a wee bit of a nightmare, shall we say? It's a bit of a nightmare.
With Camille, I noticed on IMDb, an interesting piece of trivia was that Crichton's ideal partner
Yes.
was played by Robert Llewellyn's then girlfriend,
Yes,
who's now his
and
wife.
he had suggested her because he constantly moaned about the amount of problems he had with getting the makeup done.
Oh,
And she did it, and she didn't complain once. So after that, he felt he couldn't really complain after that because he thought, she'll see what I have to go through. And accordingly, she handled it like a pro, and he felt as if he couldn't complain after that. I can just imagine. It is so hard. You try it. What do you mean they find it easy? Oh, well, maybe not.
yeah. It also
Yeah.
says Lister's partner was played by Craig Jarl's then girlfriend, Suzanne Radigan.
You know why they didn't choose Kachansky as the one there, don't you? Because they were initially going to get Claire Grogan in to play the Kachansky for the simulant, and they even filmed a couple, but they decided against it because they thought that if Kachansky turned up, then Lister would have spotted straight away there's something wrong. So that's why they had to get somebody else, because they didn't think it would have been believable.
Right. I was just looking through the quotes on this one as well. Are great. It was when Crichton was trying to call Rimmer a smeghead.
Even some of the fruit was quite funny. The small off-duty Czechoslovakian traffic warden. But I must admit, some of the one-lines in that one was just, and even the cat coming in and he says, "Watch this, what's that?" It's a banana. It's an orange. It's an apple. He says, "That's good. You could go on name my fruit."
There was one from Crichton in that. Oh, spin my nipple nuts and send me to Alaska.
But I think some of the longer it goes on, the funnier some of the one-line jokes are. Yeah, I mean, every one of them have got something that just sort of pops out. It just comes off.
Yeah,
very well.
What I'm impressed with is how they get a totally different storyline every week, and even if, like you say, like you don't not 100% sure whether you're going to like it, it always comes together in the end. You know, it just always feels right. Like they've done it all before. It's all very believable. The characterizations are great.
Yeah. I think the Grant and Naylor basically worked very well together for tying it up into a 26 minute story arc.
Yeah.
And no matter how crazy it got, they still managed to tie it up at the end. Even if they sort of left you with the walking off into the thing with just mentioning it, it just still, fine well, episodic television at its best.
Yep.
Didn't need to actually let anything continue on, and if they did, it was just sort of mentioned in passing in another episode later on that this is what happened, or it's not an issue.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite well constructed. But then again, I think from the beginning it's been quite well constructed. It's obviously been tighter as the seasons go on, but I think the construction of each episode is just well planned.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
And even the subplot for Camille, Casablanca.
Oh, that was brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, that was well done.
It was just how many things nowadays could you say, well, as a subplot, what will we do? Let's do Casablanca. Really? And they managed to pull it off so well. And they've mentioned Casablanca a few times in Red Dwarf.
Have they?
There was the one with Better Than Life, remember? The Philistine remade it. The one with something Bertie Dingleback and Beasley. They mentioned it. You thought they were going to mention the Bogart one, and they basically it was the Beasley one. So that's the second time Casablanca's come up. Once, obviously, and this one was just the storyline and of all. What was it? Of all the, I can't even remember.
I can't remember what they actually
something
said.
of all the bars and something, and
the
all
initial
that. You
one
had
is
to
all
walk
the-
into this one, something like that.
something like all the space bars and all the universe. It was something like that. But this is the first time I noticed they sort of forgot that Rimmer was a soft light hologram. Did you not notice that?
I have noticed that a couple of times.
Because they basically, right at the beginning, it was, you never really noticed it because he said to him, you sent him on his own. Did you not go in case he needed help? I'm sitting there thinking, but he's a hologram, he can't touch anything. What help could he give him? And then when Crichton falls, he shouts for help from Rimmer. And I'm sitting there thinking, what did they expect him to do? He couldn't have lifted him up, nothing. So I thought it was almost like it would have been better if Kat had gone and Kat had decided, I'm not going in there. Get this dirty. It would have actually been a slightly funnier because at least you would have had somebody that could have done those parts. It's almost like they'd written the episode and forgot he couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Which is mentioned later in DNA. They've obviously remembered it.
Yeah.
At least he knows what shirt tails are for. When the body falls through him.
Oh yes, yes.
At least he knows what shirt. So they play around with that, and I think it's almost like they forgot. And I think that is it. Season 5 when he becomes the hard light. Can't remember if 5 or 6 with Legion, but I think they're getting to the point where they're realizing they need him to have hard light because they're forgetting wee bits here and there. And as the more they put something in and realize, I hope nobody notices that, then they think we need to get something so he can be there, and help. But it didn't stop it being funny because Rimmer wouldn't have helped him anyway, even if he could.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. And what was your impression of Camille?
I liked it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just thought it was really funny. I just thought we got to this 4th series, and the whole series looks like it's so confident in itself. I think they'd moved to the new studios for this one, and it just seems creatively, the writing, the acting, they're just so in tune with what they're doing. It really comes across. And there was some great dialogue in Camille when Crichton first met her. Some of them exchanges and some of the, I loved some of the programming and coding jokes, and he tells her he loves her in hexadecimal. And what he said was actually right. Having studied computer programming, that was actually spot on. And there was even the line, he said, "What's that scent you're wearing?" And she says, "WD-40." I just love that. Just love sort of fun, silly lines like that.
Yeah. Even the bit with the eyes. Or even the fact is, are you a 4000 series? Yes, I'm the Crichton 4000 GTI. With realistic toes and the sunroof top. I thought, superb. Just playing with that, with the mechanic stuff. And even the bit was, you've got such beautiful eyes. I can take them out and loan you to them. What a jerky thing to say. I thought. It was just the way they actually just played on it. I thought it was actually quite a good one. Because every time a new character pops up, you know they're only going to be in for the one episode, and it's a case of how they're going to bring them in is easy. How they're going to let them go is going to be the trial. And I think Camille's husband or whoever turning up sort of worked. And even it's the same old story. Droid meets droid, droid turns into chameleon, droid loses chameleon, chameleon finds another chameleon, and I'm sitting there thinking, really, he had to say that? How many times did he get it wrong before he actually got it right?
I bet, yeah.
I can just imagine somebody standing there with a board going, "This is what you've got to say."
I think I would have definitely
a lot of
flashcards for that one.
Yeah, I think he got a lot of long-winded lines to say, and I think they did actually have to resort to cards a lot because no matter how well you do, I think the amount of technobabble he comes out with, I can't imagine him remembering all of that.
Yes, because he's the exposition character a lot of the time, isn't he? So a bit like Data in Next Generation, or K9. You know, he has to churn out all the lines and the babble.
Yes, because it was Holly initially used to come away with that, and when they brought Crichton in, he was the one. It was the mobile, technical.
Yes.
So, but considering the amount of technical lines he's got, he still delivers them very well.
That's quite a gift, I think.
He's got the delivery, you know, a bit like Anthony Daniels playing C-3PO, or the actor, I can't remember his name, who played Marvin in Hitchhikers. You know, they've all got that great sort of delivery.
Very well done. Oh, yes. I love Marvin. I would like to get a Marvin robot, I must admit. But
in fact, you could the three of them sat in some sort of android bar, you know, comparing their misadventures and and what their human masters have been up to.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to draw that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's an animation I wouldn't mind seeing.
Yeah.
Marvin, CTPO, and Crichton.
You can see it.
You can just have R2 serving them drinks.
Well, there we are. Perfect. Yeah. Absolutely perfect.
Making some joke about how he only beats in boxes. Who can understand him? But I must admit, Camille, for a start of the start of the episode or the start of the season, I think they always have to be the strongest one. If not the funniest one, I think they have to be the strongest one, because it's the same every season. Because if it was a bad one, you lose the audience, and they think, oh well, probably the first few seasons are the best, and if it looks as if it's going downhill. Whereas a lot more people actually think if it's a strong episode, you're holding on to the people who are tuning in. And I think that's the way a lot of the first episodes seem to be. Not necessarily funniest, but probably one of the stronger ones.
Mm-hmm.
And it also reintroduces the characters, because you imagine if they did DNA instead of Camille as the first one, it's just throwing you in with the characters, and you either have to know them or not. It doesn't sort of reintroduce them. Whereas that one, it starts off with the lying part and how he can't lie, and then he goes on to Rimmer being the smeghead that he is, about the flying, and then the cat about his. It just seems to reintroduce them in such a way that if you've already been watching it, it's not a problem, because you already know what they're talking about, and they're just saying hi to the characters. But if you've never watched it, it sort of introduces the characters in a moving forward way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Camille was quite a strong episode for that. even though they did seem to rush the end because obviously they had already done the story. Now we need to get her out the door, and
Yeah. I think it was a stronger opening episode than Backwards was for season 3.
I think you're right there. And I remember I said that I thought Backwards because it was just a lot. It was visual jokes, and it wasn't really Red Dwarf visual jokes. I thought wasn't the best episode in that season anyway. And I think Camille was a better opening episode.
Yeah.
For that, because it was a stronger one for bringing you back to the characters.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, so, but saying that, DNA was a really funny and clever second episode.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, even the way it starts, where I'm all sitting there going, and then it all goes black. We've all gone down. It starts off with just so high.
It just had to be cat.
And then the cat just started. There you go. There's the cat.
Yeah, he's like, what?
And you can just, and even the thing, they just unplug something else. What, my hot waxer for leg remover? And I'm going to see, and it's just you're sitting there thinking, you can just imagine the cat with everything plugged in. And I thought, just so well done as an introduction to to that episode. You're sitting there thinking, wonder what's happening, and suddenly, right in the middle of the tension, I would say a belly laugh, because just any time Cat just comes in and does something silly like that, it's a case of what? It's just me.
Mind you, if he was a cat, he could have come and sat on their keyboards, you know. That would have that'd be very true to form.
Well,
speaking from experience, yeah.
Yes, because I was on the Hijabi Gamers. I was watching her one yesterday, and her cat Buster. It was her birthday, and I says I quite understood that, because I used to have cats as well, long time ago, and she was talking about how cats are basically how certain people actually. She can understand how they deified them. And I says, I can understand why the Egyptians deified them. I says, I've got dogs. I don't own dogs, they're part of my family, but cats had me. I was part of their retinue.
They're running things.
Yes.
They're running things, and I was just running after them. And to me, Cat embodies that. It's a case of, what? I want my first.
That's what I love about Cat, because it's so well observed. We were just joking the other day, thinking the one trick I think they missed with Cat, and Darren mentioned this the other day, was that they should have had him like sitting in a box. You can't put a cardboard box down, and it's like an instant cat magnet. So that would have been funny if they'd had like one episode where there was a huge cardboard box and they couldn't get Cat out of the box.
Or even the cat, they were looking for him after they had got new supplies, and then at the end, it popped out.
Yeah, that would be the good one.
He'd be like, what?
What? They did that in one of the early episodes as well, was the bit when he came out the wardrobe. You'll never find that. Did you recognise him? There was a stranger who walked past. You know what he'd been doing in the Rimmer's boots. And it was almost a case of, yeah, I can imagine a cat doing that. But yeah, I think that's a joke they did miss, even just as a one-off. They just even early on, you didn't see the cat a lot. You only saw him once or twice here and there. There could have been one where they were just looking for the cat, and it turned out he was actually there sleeping in the box,
or he was somewhere sleeping in like an airing cupboard somewhere on the ship, looking at him like, what? You know, and they were in a mad panic trying to find him. Not that reflects any sort of real life around here.
Well, I remember my cats, it was a case of they slept all day, I was fine, until nighttime. Then they ran around the house chasing each other, right over my face, right through, and I could hear them the whole night chasing each other. But they were fine, they slept through the day, and I just worked through the day, so no issues there. cat prints over my face as I woke up in the morning. Easy peasy.
Oh, we get that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was some great trivia. I'm just looking on the IMDb page for this episode, and apparently the part where Kat sneezes on the microscope wasn't originally in the script, and Danny John-Jules did it as a bit of a joke during rehearsal, and they liked it so much they left it in the episode.
Which I thought was even the fact when he says, "This is never going to work. One shower with medicated shampoo and you disappear."
His Kat's expressions, as Danny John-Jules' expressions, so they were great. Is after he sneezes, he just like freezes and he looks at them like.
I just sort of looks up and looks as if to say, "Oops." But I think even that I was saying earlier, the bit when they were searching the ship and they found the body with the 3 heads, and he says that he fell through Rimmer, and he found out what shirt tails were for. But it was the fact is they found his ID. He's even got a video club card. He needed a card for a video club. I think I would have remembered him. Weren't you the one that sneezed and blew off the back door? That kind of thing. It's just, you're sitting there thinking, he's human. How? And then you realise. But it was the fact is, when the cat was, he says, "I did this," and then it said this, and then the voice comes over and he goes, "Yeah, that's right," and then I did this, and then it did, "Yeah, that's right," and it just keeps going, and I'm sitting there thinking, that is just timed so perfectly well, because you're expecting somebody to turn around and say something, and he's going, "Yeah, that's right," and I did this, but it's his same voice, and he just utterly ignores it. But even right at the beginning, when he's doing it with Craig Charles, Lister, character names, not people. When he's doing it with Lister, and he's going, "Don't touch anything, don't worry, do you think I'm..." I better go and get goalposted. Yeah, I mean, it basically realised that, oops, I know what I'm doing. It was this button, or was it this button, or was it that? And you're sitting there, and he still presses. And I thought, yep, Cat would actually be so confident in actually what he's doing, because it's no affecting him.
Yeah. There's another quote that was great where Rimmer just sort of lays into Cat. He says, "You're totally egocentric. You flee at the first sign of danger. You only look after number one. You're vain, selfish, narcissistic, and you're self-obsessed." And Cat just goes, "You just listed all my best features." And that is just so Cat.
You're like, "Man, for a wee second, I've got a cough coming on."
Oh, don't say that.
Right. There we are. We'll. Yeah, I mean, Danny John-Jules just plays him so well, and seems to, with each series he just gets more and more into the character, and he just very often he steals the scenes half the time.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I had a nice.
That's
big
okay.
juicy steak. I had a nice
That's
big juicy
okay.
steak, and I think the spicy just sticking in the back of the throat. Can't complain. It was a nice big juicy steak. So.
Oh wow!
Aye.
That sounds nice.
Oh, aye. It was delicious.
There was a great scene too with Crichton talking to his spare heads when he's actually
when he became human. It was even the Hilly. He's got a perfectly formed body of a 32-year-old, apparently. I thought it's just a case of they played it up quite well, even with the 3 heads arguing with him. And the one where the rot.
Yeah, that one was funny because he had this sort of northern England accent, I can't quite do it, but it was.
It was almost like the wee old man. You lads, isn't it? Yeah. And I thought, yeah, And do you notice as well? The three heads seem to have different personalities.
I know.
Yes.
The middle head just seemed to sort of try and be the peacemaker, and even the finger. It's just a case of you're sitting there watching the three heads arguing with him, and then they ask the hand his opinion, spare arm one. And, what do you think? They obviously like that because they've done the skitters a few times doing it. So I suppose it's a way to be naughty but nice without actually having words having to be struck out.
Yeah. The whole scene though of Crichton in human form, sort of in that scene with with Lister.
Yeah,
Lister's like, he's like, is that normal? Lister's like, what, taking photographs of it and showing you things? No, it's not.
Even the bit when he's actually kept going on about the Zoom, and he just kept repeating it. He says, what about split screen IMAX? I did it, and then they're going, no, we don't have those. Just the Zoom.
Yeah.
And he's just playing that. And he says, oh, there's something else. What, a double Polaroid? And even when he went back through, and the Rimmer and the cat are sitting there, and he says, if he ever offers to show you his photo collection, decline gracefully. But it's just the fact that even just the way he was walking in his human form, it's almost like he's still acting android.
Yeah, and that's what makes it funny. It's like he's still an android, but he's got a human form.
Yeah.
So he's just completely baffled by everything because that's all he knows is everything's automated. He's not supposed to have certain parts.
Yes, and his charging socket doesn't work. I thought they were going somewhere else with that before Lister sort of went like that and looked down. Because I thought they were talking about the 3-pin plug and the 1-pin socket. Yeah. I thought they were going somewhere else with that until they actually looked, and you're sitting there thinking, obviously I've got a dirtier mind than they had. Do you need an adapter? I just thought that's what it sounded like, but it's just it's almost as if that says, well, obviously my dirty mind just can shut up. Didn't work.
Well, usually it's them picking up on that anyway. They'll usually go there. They can get away with it. Now that was such a funny episode.
Yeah, even down to my nipples don't work. One regulates the temperature, another one I can't get Jazz FM. And the thing is, you think about it, he's been around humans, or at least Lister, for long enough. He must have known they didn't work in humans.
Yeah.
It seemed a wee bit clunky. Funny, but clunky because he'd been around humans enough to know that, but he still seemed to ask it. It's almost like his brain just couldn't separate the fact that he is no longer an android, where he's still tried to act like one. And when he was asking about humans,
yeah, perhaps he was sort of like a little bit sort of shook up after the transformation, but like Doctor Who after regeneration, they have to sort of settle down into their new form.
Yeah, that's probably the way it is. It's just it just seemed a wee bit clunky. But if you actually put it down that route, that as Lister says, he's neither one thing or the other. He's obviously human, but he still thinks like an android.
Yeah. Yeah, and I bet Robert Llewellyn loved that filming that episode because he didn't have to sit in makeup.
Aye, it's the third time he's actually appeared without makeup.
I don't know.
Because the first one, well, with Hudson, he appeared as the salesman.
That's right. He was in the video
brochure
thing.
Yeah. there was another one, and I think it was a similar idea. He was, maybe it's not come up yet. Maybe that's what it is. But I'm sure there's been at least, there's definitely a bunch. I'm sure there was twice before, and I'm sure if anybody in the chat can remember, can actually let us know.
We've got some.
But I thought it 3
Definitely
times he's actually appeared without the makeup on. One of them I knew was the Hudson episode.
Okay.
I can't remember what the other one was, but I think it was an earlier one, and it was a similar idea. Do you know what it was? It was a later episode.
He was in Dimension Jump, wasn't he?
Yes. The cover
He
me
was the
in
Admiral.
I'll be in my room covered in Tamisalata. That's what that is. I'm thinking that was the third one. It appeared not as Crichton, or as Crichton, but out of makeup.
Sadako says, in his biography, I think it was the last story filmed that season, and he felt the writers deliberately taunted him with the hope that he'd be human from then on.
Yeah, but they've actually moved it into the second episode.
Yeah. You could tell he definitely hated
must have
that
been sitting there
makeup.
going, yes, and then seen it getting released and going, what?
Ugh.
Mama?
It definitely wouldn't have been the same.
I think that was down to the BBC changing the running order of some of the episodes.
Yeah.
I was reading, because that series went out about the same time as the first Gulf War. So I think they sort of chose to swap some of them around.
Sadako's saying as well. Believes the season was shown out of planned sequence because the BBC didn't want Dimension Jump or Meltdown aired during the Gulf War because of their militarism.
Yes.
Which was unfortunate, because I think it would have actually been a nice way to end it and not knowing.
Yeah.
But I think if he had become human, it would have ruined the Crichton character.
I was going to say, it would never have been the same. It just wouldn't have been the same. I think it worked really well as a one-off episode.
Yeah.
Because everything was just perfect. The jokes were great, but then the jokes would just get tired after a while if they had left him in that state.
Because fine well, if they did, they would have at least one time in every episode he would have misunderstood something because he forgot he was no longer an android. And the jokes would have just sort of got not a bit repetitive, because it would have been different, but it would have just got stale because the humour just dissipates. Whereas the way they go, they're always something new because that is the character.
Yeah, it was a good idea as a one-off, but I think that's it to say it probably had sort of limited legs, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good decision, I think.
And then you had Justice, which I quite enjoyed. I don't know if it was because Nicholas Ball was on it, Hazel, but although he was in Hazel and he was a big name and that, but he was in quite a lot of things.
He played the simulant.
Say again?
He was the simulant.
Yes, he played the simulant. And it was just a case of seeing him in a small part, in effect it was. Yeah, I remember during the TV during the time, because Hazel was on and he was always in bits and pieces of different movies or TV shows. He was just sort of a mainstay of TV at the time. And he just played a wee part as the simulant, which I thought was really well done. I loved the cat at the end of it. But did you notice the Justice Field, where it was the second time they mentioned the crew number, but this time it jumped by almost 1,000?
No.
Because remember, right at the beginning, they were talking about how he's only in charge of, there's 367 crew on board, and he's only in charge of one of them. Now, Rimmer is getting charged with over 1,267 deaths.
Yeah.
So that's the crew complement now.
There's a little bit of trivia on here as well. It says that this episode retcons some of the background details from the previous series. One of them was Rimmer no longer said to be responsible for the crew's extermination. It had been decided behind the scenes that his abilities were far too lacking for him to realistically be assigned a task that could even endanger the lives of the crew.
Yeah, which we know from the previous ones was he was getting shouted out because he'd failed to do it. Which it works in this episode, however. The on that part would have been easy, but it's the sudden jump in the number as well. Because the 367 or whatever the number was still perfectly fine. Yes, it's a 5 mile long ship. So it could obviously house a hell of a lot more than 300 nods, but
it didn't feel. You don't get that feeling that there's that many people on board. You get the feeling that it's a very small crew complement, even if there's a few others scattered around.
Yeah,
you don't get that feeling that it's this massively huge ship.
Yeah, because it's the cargo hold held enough food for millions of years for the cats to evolve. So the cargo holds must be vast.
This is true.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean the cargo compartments must be vast. So having 300 nods with just these large areas within the ship for holding cargo, because they were a mining ship, so there would be a lot of cargo on it. Yeah, it seems bumping it up just seemed a wee bit of why to make it sound like the 9,000 years would have worked instead of actually giving them 3 years per or whatever. Just give them a longer sentence so you could still make it the 9,000 years. You know what I mean? But giving them 9 years per and he's suddenly 9,000 years because it's over 1,200 crew member. I just thought it just. We know when it comes down to Red Dwarf, the canon's unimportant. It's the joke. It's important. And if it changes things, it's not a major issue. But with something like that, it didn't make sense because the 300 or the 1,200, it's still a lot of people. It didn't matter because it was to do with what he felt guilty doing rather than how many he felt guilty doing it to. So I think if they just look at that.
I quite like the Justice boots.
Oh, they were funny.
They remind me a little bit of Wallace and Gromit's The Wrong Trousers. Because they stick their feet in them and then they just sort of get marched wherever the boots want to go.
Yeah. It was a clever idea, that.
And even the fact is, the way they were walking, trying to actually look as if they were getting dragged. It was just funny, them holding on to things, pretending to hold on to things and still try to walk forward because the boots wanted to go that way. I thought was very well done because it did look as if they had very little choice. And the only one that seemed to actually be a bit more natural in it was Crichton. If you look at it, he just looked as if he'll go where they go because naturally he would actually just let them take him wherever he wanted. Whereas the other ones, it was almost a case of didn't want to go. But I just thought there was one or two wee teeny bits, it's wee niggly parts like the 1,000 crew, but I thought the Justice Field was hilarious when Rimmer actually says to Lister, try it, set fire to that. And he's basically burning it. And his back's on fire. His words could have told me, you could have been playing that without. And it was just a case of, try something else. No. It's just, hey, you're learning. Lack of free will. And it's the moralistic bit at the end as well, where he falls through the ring and he just goes, shut him up and don't. Yeah, you would have expected maybe Rimmer to be the moralistic one in that.
That's true, yeah.
But it was Lister, which I thought was very well done because it was not something you would expect. But then again, he did go scrumping.
That's right. He was fine. That was so funny because they were all, Lister was concerned it was going to be him, and it turned out to be Rimmer.
Aye. But I just liked even the part is, I used to go scrumping. Stealing apples was not a major thing, yeah, but we used to go scrumping for cars. I thought, what a way to actually justify it. What did you used to do when you were young? You used to go scrumping. Oh, stealing
It was so believable, though.
I suppose nowadays when they actually say scrumping, they could actually get away with it because all they say is, well, they were stealing apples.
Yes, very good.
They're just scrumping. I can't know that I've been thinking about that all day. So yes, go ahead. I don't think about jokes; they just come off the top of my head. Nothing there to stop them.
Same for all of us.
Yes, and did anyone think the simulant bore a bit of a resemblance of a Borg from Star Trek?
Yes, and also RoboCop.
Yeah.
No, RoboCop was DNA.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Remember that was the. You guys think I'm tough?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a tiny RoboCop because it was a almost RoboCop outfit. And with a high-pitched voice. But yeah, the simulant. But then again, anytime I see the simulants, because they do the same, they've not changed it. I obviously thought Star Trek, and then you think they would change it gradually away. It just sort of similar idea, but it was just the simulants always had bits on. Some of them had a lot more, but I think the very first ones looked very Borg-like, and it slightly changed as they went on. But he did just with the head plate on. I suppose it did it.
Yeah, so the Borg crossed with a bit of Terminator.
Uh-huh. But I even like the Borg, the simulants thing, mate. I lied with a knife. I lied as well. He says, but I lied twice. I thought you knew it was going to be a wee dirty trick, so I lied, ha ha ha. And you were expecting that, but I lied twice. And considering the amount they built up the simulant, because Crichton actually says at the beginning, you could give them a barrage of a bazookoid at point blank range, it would do little damage. Yet he seemed to do a lot of damage to himself with 2 shots and 2 knife wounds. If you could take all that bazookoid, how did those 2 shots and 2 knife wounds do a lot more damage? Somebody's getting a helicopter fly past.
Yes, that sounds like it's coming from my mic because I'm in the room.
It's not far away, actually. It's
par for the course.
It's nothing unusual around here, actually. The police helicopter is a regular visitor.
Predator outside the window, yeah.
I know. This part of South Wales is getting a bit.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
What's the word? Yeah,
it's exciting.
Yes, we got woken up one morning, Marcy, with a drugs bus nearby. So
yeah, I saw that when you said on Twitter.
Yeah, that was an interesting alarm clock.
Yeah, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and it was the sound of the police cutting tool, cutting through somebody's front door.
Jeez.
Good Lord.
But apart from that, it's quite quiet around here, isn't it?
now the police have been.
Valley's alarm clock, I call it.
Daniel's just said congrats on my 50 subs. Daniel, it's 51 now. I got another one today.
Hey,
not that I'm overly happy. My target was trying to get up to 100. I'm already halfway there. Whee!
Yeah.
Oh, well done, mate.
Great. Pleased about that.
All right. So,
good. No, you're putting a lot of work into this channel, so it's good.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it, and that's the main thing. It's as long as we do what we love, we can. Does it matter? I suppose if we've got 5 or 10, as long as we enjoy doing what we're doing and having a chat.
Yep.
Although more than 5 or 10 is always great.
Well, now more than ever, I think it's just so nice to be able to chat about these shows that have brought us so much joy in the past, but continue to bring that joy and continue to give you something to be able to just sit down, put on, have a laugh. And there's no politics in it. There's no craziness from current day. It's just nice, good, old fashioned entertainment.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing we used to do at Comic Cons, and for the last year and a bit, and you need to just talk to people about fandom and just nothing else, no politics, nothing, just pure
Yes.
what we love and what we love as a group.
Yeah. And again, that's what it's always done, and that's what it should unfortunately doesn't at the moment in many ways, but that's what it always did. It was bringing people together. You could watch it on your own, but it was always better to watch it with a couple of mates or your partner or a couple of friends and just have a laugh.
And even if you did watch it on your own, gab about it later on with somebody who enjoys it.
Yeah.
That's basically fandom. That's what it should be. It should be inclusive, not divisive.
Exactly. And you didn't always agree on everything. Some people had different views, but it was always friendly and amicable.
Yeah.
It's
you look at any fandom, even if two people like the same fandom, like Red Dwarf, for instance, we're all going to disagree with who's our favourite character, what's our favourite episode. That's just part and parcel of it. You can still disagree about anything because, like, for instance, I think we all like the cat, but there's characters we like better. I know one of my friends loves Lister no matter what. Another one loves Rimmer. And I'm sitting there thinking, really? He's not meant to be really the likable person. But just finds Chris Barry's portrayal of him amazing.
And that's it. That's the difference between a character that's meant to be disliked but is so well played in such a way that
But I think that was the thing with Red Dwarf, and I may have mentioned this before, so forgive me if I have, but I can remember when it was first watching the early series, particularly by the third series and into the fourth, just how many people I knew were watching and enjoying Red Dwarf. And people who wouldn't normally watch sci-fi, they wouldn't Doctor Who, Star Trek, anything like that, they wouldn't touch the barge pole. But they loved Red Dwarf. There was something about it that they just seemed to like and latch onto.
Yeah. It had all the genres in effect crammed together. You had sci-fi, it's set in space. You had comedy, just funny. You even had soap because of the situation. Because, yes, it's a situation comedy, but it's in effect 4 people stuck together in the one place. They're starting to get about now, but you had the situation, so it was very soap-like because of that. Initially, it was the 3 of them before Crichton. You had the 4 of them. Sorry, you had Holly as well. I was wondering why I said 4 before Crichton, but you had the 4 of them, and it was a case of you had a lot of different genres. They just worked so well together. I thought I can understand why a lot of people do like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and
Sadako was saying that the simulants are the half and half, but they're not. They're actually robots, androids. Weren't they? They weren't actually half and half. They were actually androids, weren't they? Or robots.
Androids, weren't they?
Aye.
Or cyborgs in some form? Is there any hint of that?
Well, that's what I thought. I couldn't remember. I thought they were actually fully mechanical rather than half and half. But then again, I suppose it's really the first one that's popped up. Later on, they may have changed it, but I thought Crichton made a reference to them being the simulates were basically simulated humans, as in androids. But that's, as I said, it's the first time they've popped up, and it was just one wee line. I'll need to rewatch that bit and actually double check it.
Yeah, I have to have a look at that again.
And I must admit, that line, going back to Camille, the scene where Camille would list her incredibly forward and want her to get her to bed, shall basically skip the thing and go straight to the malpractice, or even just take clothes off and lie there. We'll have to do it seriously. I'll go and get my Spider-Man outfit. Those lines, yes, I can't imagine nowadays being in anything.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you can imagine any one of those lines being called out for him trying to chat up a woman, being too forward.
Yeah, definitely. That's very true.
But I thought that was a good one. But I think the Justice Field one, it was another smart one, but it wasn't. You could switch your brain off and still watch it. It had a couple of quite smart functions in it, as in the Justice Field. It made you think about certain things, like when he goes on about the monologue at the end about how it takes your free will and and all that. But if you miss that, it doesn't take the humour away from it. And even that monologue, the fact that he drops out and the three of them just look down, thank Christ for that. So you could have a serious thing with a joke at the end, but it still actually tells you aspects of it. And I thought it's well worded again. A nice rounded episode.
Yeah, they're doing really well this season. They seem to have some. They've all been good, well-rounded episodes, like you said. I haven't really come across anyone in particular that's disappointed me. Not that I don't think any of them really would.
Yeah.
Particularly disappoint me per se, but I think sometimes you think, oh, okay, well that one was all right, but it just, it was just okay. But they all have redeeming qualities, and they all have so many great lines and so much comedy that even if it's a slower paced episode, or if it's one that, isn't absolutely on top of your list, the dialogue it's just so funny. It just destroys you in every episode. There's always some great dialogue.
Yep. I was laughing at Daniel. He's been at me to watch Line of Duty. Daniel, I've got too much on. Maybe by the time I get round to it, it might be a classic.
I will warn you about Line of Duty. And no spoilers, please, guys, because Daniel's still going through it. But the one thing with Line of Duty that surprised me was that it's a bit like a drug. I thought, I'll just jump in and I'll watch one episode, and then it became 2, and then it became 6, and it became 12. So it's very bingeable. You very quickly get pulled into it to the point where you don't want to switch it off.
Yeah,
so it's well worth a watch.
I haven't watched them. Wen's been watching them so she can take part in Daniel's chats. I saw about 10 minutes, quarter of an hour of one Wen was watching the other day, and I will. Don't worry, Daniel, I won't say any details, but it was really good. I can see why it's getting hooks into people. It really compels you with the characters and the situation to watch it. It's quite well done, what I saw of it.
Yeah. It's just see, Line of Duty. The reason, it's new. I do like old stuff, and I've got a load of old stuff. But remember, I've still, apart from finishing Blake 7, I've still got at least a shelf full of movies. I've also got the $6 Million Man, which I did say I would actually do, which I might actually have to start doing soon.
Cool.
Retro Ricky actually says he wanted to actually join us in that one, but I haven't got the $6 million man. I actually had to go and get them because so I've got them now, and it's so that's another minimum 5 weeks, so a season a week. Blake 7 I want to do, so there's another 4 or 5 weeks. I've got my movies I want to do. I've got at least the end of this year before I actually catch up. That's why I know it's not going to, even though Daniel keeps on trying to actually press him. I've been telling him to watch Red Dwarf, but I can understand where. But the difference is, Daniel, I'm right.
Ooh, it's on.
Although I do know Daniel knows he's right as well, but
well,
I know. So, but it's just one of those things. I will eventually get to it. It's just I've got so much on, and that's where my problem is. I overly binge stuff, and I do. And the thing is, if I watched everything I had on my shelves once only, if I got round them all, it would take me about 2 years just on everything that's on my shelves.
Yep.
Wow.
And that's not doing things for reviews. That's just simply watching every disc, every extra, every movie, everything. I would just run out of time. I just don't have the time to do it all, and I've got reviews to do, and I've still got my review of. I've got 2 old movies to review. I've got Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 1956 one, and I've got the Day the Earth Stood Still, the original, not the remake. So I want to do those 2.
Love that.
And I'm tempted to do it as a live stream rather than a video, but I do like doing the video because it gives me the time to actually do it. But it's getting the time, because every time I actually see that, then I've got Red Dwarf to catch up with. Then I've had Fawlty Towers, which we did, and I've finished Fawlty Towers. So it's going to be Blake 7 and the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, because I've been watching those 2 this week. So those are going to be next Sunday.
Yeah, your Fawlty Towers streams were great fun.
I do love Fawlty Towers. The good thing is, Fawlty Towers is one of the few TV shows that me and my wife watch. We both enjoy it. Death in Paradise and Fawlty Towers are the 2 main ones that we both love, and we both sit and watch.
I was thinking the other day, I think it would be great to go back and watch Death in Paradise, just for John-Jules, really, but also because we haven't seen a lot of it, but we have seen a few episodes of it now and then. We might pop it on. But it looks like a great fun show as well. Just like,
I love it for that.
A bit like the old Jonathan Creeks, just good entertainment, likable characters, nothing too heavy.
My Jonathan Creek there. Box set. I love that as well.
Yes.
Right next to my Death in Paradise set. So,
yep. Yeah, in fact,
I love it for Danny John-Jules as well. His Dwayne in that, so different, but just as enticing. And I must admit, once Danny left, I watched it, but I've not re-watched them. The earlier ones I've watched multiple times. I like the what's his name? The First Detective. I liked. So the first 2 seasons are my favourite. I can't even remember. Ben Miller.
Ben Miller. He was also in another sci-fi show. Oh God!
What was that one?
I'm getting painfully old. Primeval. Thank you.
Oh, that's true. Actually, I've got Primeval as well. They did an American version, a Canadian version of Primeval.
Did they? Oh,
yes,
I didn't know that.
One season. And see the one, what's his name? It's the guy with the surname. It's double-barreled. Lee Thomas, Lee something or other. Can't remember. It was the one that played the young guy.
Okay.
He was in it, and it was sort of a continuation on, but they'd moved to a different, and he was the only one that was in it. It wasn't as good, but it was still interesting. they changed enough of it to be a separate program, but they kept enough that it was a continuation of. But I think they just sold the rights because they didn't want to continue it, and another one took it up, and a couple of the actors went over. But the main one was the young guy who, I can't even remember his name. He's got a double barrel surname, and he's young. He's been at a few of the Comic Cons that I've been at.
So bad with names.
Lee Thomas or something like that.
Mm.
And it's just, I could search it, but I've got about 15 windows opened here. And it's actually trying to find the IMDb one. I've just got so much junk. The thing is, I could probably dig out the DVDs. It'd be quicker for me digging out the DVD. Right, somebody in the chat must know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I just had a little look, see if anybody was familiar with that one.
Right. There's the DVD box set there, and I believe it or not, I need to actually get the old boy on. You young lads nowadays. Him there. Him there. He's the one that's in it.
Ah. I can't think of his name.
The thing is, it doesn't even put their names on this. It mentions Claudia Brown, Nick Cutter, but it doesn't mention the other two.
I'm taking a look on.
Starring Douglas, Ben.
Is it Andrew Lee Potts?
It's Andrew Lee Potts.
I've just pulled that off Wikipedia.
Andrew Lee Potts. He's the only one that's in the Canadian one, and I'm sure.
Oh yes, him. Do you know what? I've just pulled his picture up now. I recognise him. Yes.
Yeah, he was the one that's in the Canadian one, and he was the only one I think it went across to that one. And it only did one season over there, and I think they used it as a continuation of it. So, but I did like Primeval, I must admit, and Ben Miller's actually was really good in it as well. And he reminded me a bit of his Death in Paradise character. The two of them were very similar.
Different. They kind of were, yeah.
I'll take these off because everything goes blurry from a distance. It's all I need it for reading. These old young people nowadays don't know how good they've got it. But
very true.
Yeah. So let's go back to that. White Hole. What did you think of that one?
I really enjoyed that one. That's just great ideas, just great sort of fun out there sci-fi ideas.
Yeah. I thought it was actually really fun, but the thing is, considering all the other ones in the season, I thought that was the weakest one. Although it had some of the better sci-fi tropes, basically sci-fi idea in it. You compare that to like Justice as a sci-fi idea, it's not really, or even the DNA is a sci-fi idea. They're not as strong as the White Hole, but I thought all in all, compared how entertaining the other ones were, I thought it was the weaker of them all, although it was stronger in the sci-fi element of it.
Yes.
It's sort of, I thought it was like a juxtaposition. It was, how can it be more sci-fi but less compared to the other ones, which were all sci-fi and funny, and it's just that I just found that when I say weak, it sounds terrible. It's like turning around and saying, out of the 6, it's my 6th favourite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it just doesn't mean that it's actually my least favourite. It's just that I found the other ones either stronger or funnier.
Exactly.
I agree. I would say of all the stories in this season, not putting it down per se, but that is definitely probably, if I had to rank them, this one would probably be the weakest for me of all of them.
Yeah, and it does sound as if we're putting it down, but it's not. It's just that if you've got the cream of the crop, it's just that wee bit below. It's, I mean, it's
That's what happens
compared
when
to
you
some in
spoil
season
your
one,
audience.
it's far superior. 1 or 2 in season 2, it's probably in par with, because I thought season 2 was probably one, for me, it was one of the funniest ones. Season 3 was a lot more stronger. But for this season, it sounds weird. It had the strongest sci-fi elements in it. But with the other aspects of it, it probably wasn't as funny as other ones. It wasn't as smart as other ones. But it still doesn't make it bad. It sounds like when you say it's his least favorite.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's you can still enjoy it, but its merits compared to the others maybe. But it was still sort of fun and enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. As the Sadako said, basically in the book they made it a black hole, but I think they made it a white hole in the TV version so they could end it with the president. I need to put my teeth in properly. Reverse wherever the book and it all a big game changer. I think what they did was they used the white hole because the black hole part of it tried to plot something, because they were using the pool metaphor. I think with the black hole, they would never have missed.
Okay.
They would have never have missed. Didn't matter what they did. The planet was eventually going to sink in the black hole. Whereas I think that the white hole worked for the simple fact is they increased Holly's intelligence, reduced her run time, and it was a way of actually bringing it all back full circle so it hadn't happened.
Yeah.
Even though you had Talkie Toaster in this one.
It was a different toaster though than the one from season
one. The last one,
one.
it wasn't David Ross.
Ah.
Was it not
Hang on.
Slattery? Was it Tony Slattery?
Let's have a look.
Talkie Toaster the last time. Because it was David Ross, the one that played Crichton. Who played the toaster in this one?
David Ross, yeah.
But who played the toaster
it?
in the last one? I thought it was Tony Slattery.
I liked them both. But I was I can remember thinking, oh, that's not the same toaster.
Yeah, because you could tell the fly me to the moon. I can't sing, so I apologise to everybody who just heard that. I cannot sing. I can't, and I mean, I'm the type of person that when I carry a tune, I drop it often. My father could sing, my mother could sing, my dad could play multiple instruments, my mum couldn't, but at least she could sing. My sisters could play instruments and sing. I can't even play a triangle, and I can't hold a tune to save myself.
Yeah, I'm not big on singing myself.
No,
That's
not
definitely
me.
not me.
Considering my family could all play musical instruments or sing, I'm a letdown.
Yeah.
When our family get together, some of them play guitars, some of them play organs, some of them play accordion, and they all have a sing song, and I sit there. Yeah, I can't sing. So
no,
the fact is,
not
Talkie
my
Toaster
either.
could sing.
I would be more in percussion. My dad was a drummer, so I grew up around drums. So definitely not vocals.
Percussion is every time I try to sing, I get hit with something.
Yeah, but Talkie Toaster is sort of funny to us because that was made 30 odd years ago, and now we're surrounded by devices that actually talk to you.
Yes. I'm actually just trying to find who played Talkie Toaster. What episode? It was a season 2 one.
I'll take a look now. According to Wikipedia, he was played by John Lehan in season 2. And then David Ross in season 4.
See, I thought it was Tony Slattery, but yeah.
Unless Wikipedia's wrong, of course. I'm just going by that.
Sorry, what episode was it? Did it say?
I'm trying
to remember. Was it Thanks for the Memory? It wasn't Thanks for the Memory. It was... What one did they actually meet Remember, it was Crichton, wasn't it? It was the very first episode of Crichton with Crichton because he was Tony Slattery is Brooke, the voice, and that's what Tony Slattery was in. He played one of the android voices. That's where I got it wrong. Tony
That's right.
Slattery played the android.
In the spoof soap opera.
Yes. And Kevin Clinton. Who did it say played Talkie Toaster?
Just taking a look.
See if anybody in the chat's got it.
Because believe it or not, it only actually mentions the five Crichton, the Esperanto woman, and the voice of Brooke, the android. And then I've got rest of cast listed alphabetically as Kevin Clinton, and it says uncredited. So I don't know if he's the one that actually.
Sadako's got something in the chat, I see. Hang on. Tony Slattery usually voiced the vending machines.
Uh-huh.
And he says John Lenahan was the toaster
In season 1.
in season 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye, that would have been the one that.
Future Echoes and Me Too.
Future Echoes.
I think it was Future Echoes.
See, was there not one in Crichton? Because remember, they thought they were all on the pool, and Lister was ironing his trousers, and he was shaving and stuff like that. And Talkie was talking to him, and he was shaving, and he belted it when he was singing to him because he was.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
That's what I'm thinking of, the season 2 one, maybe that. But I know Tony Slattery was in one of the things. Maybe that's where I was getting it mixed up. Because he obviously did the voice of Brooke, the android.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
But I remember he did the vending machines. Tony Hawk's did the vending machines as well, didn't he? Because he did one. Did he not do the one with the lift? Tony Hawk's was the one that played Caligula.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
And Meltdown. Because was he not the one that played one of the vending machines that had the lift? Remember, and they kept giving him boots or a bucket because it was faulty and he was waiting for the androids to fix it. I thought that was Tony Hawk's that played that. But the thing is, they brought these guys in, bits and pieces here and there, to do different things. Because Tony Hawk's not only played the Caligula, he played the waiter in Better Than Life, remember? Remember, he gave him the Chardonnay in a pint mug and caviar Vindaloo. That was Tony Hawk as well.
Okay, yes.
So he could have actually played one of the machines as well. So I think what they did was they did bring these guys in and out, so they had different parts throughout. But then again, it's just. There's so much. Trying to remember all these things.
I know. We only watched them a few weeks ago.
Well, there is that, I know. And still remembering these things after. The thing is, with Tony Slattery and Tony Hawk's, I remember them from ages ago because I liked Tony Slattery because he was on Whose Line Is It Anyway and like that. I used to enjoy.
Yeah.
Not seen him for ages, but Red Dwarf always brings it back, so I've not seen anything else he's been in. So when I hear his voice and stuff like that, and it reminds me.
Yeah, he used to be one of those sort of regular faces on TV, but he just seems to completely disappeared now.
Yeah. So it's basically it's. I know it sounds silly because when I hear it, I remember who it is, even though I didn't notice who it was. But I remember just when we're talking about it, who it was, and it just all pops back in.
Mm. The next one is definitely my favorite.
No, the compare in the Reverse Brothers. No, that was a different guy. That was another comedian. I'm trying to remember his guy. Was it the compare? No, the compare in the Reverse Brothers was a different guy. Wasn't it Tony Hawk's?
I'm not sure.
Because the guy actually did it was the one it spoke something. So when you watch it backwards, literally he's saying, I wonder who the sad git is going to actually reverse this to see what I'm saying. So when it's played backwards, it's
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
He actually said it, but that's not Tony Hawk's or Tony Slattery, but I don't know.
It's funny.
Sadako says he was also the compeer who introduces the Reverse Brothers and backwards, yeah.
And I thought it was the other guy, the guy who owned the club was the compere, but
yeah, according to Wikipedia, it was Tony Hawk's, as the compere.
So I just assumed the compere
and Arthur Smith as the pub manager.
Arthur Smith. I thought it was Arthur Smith that did the compere, maybe that's what I've just missed that one. So I've just blended the two of them together. But there you go.
Sadako was saying that. No, you're thinking of Arthur Smith. He was the pub manager, not the compere.
So there you go. I've just obviously merged the two of them in when I was watching it. Because a lot of it was visual, I probably not even actually noticed, because I did think that was on rewatch. It's not as funny because you've seen all those jokes, which, considering I like watching things multiple times, it sounds weird when I say that. You know what I mean? And I love Norman Wisdom, Abbott Costello, and they're all visual jokes, so maybe it's because I'm watching Red Dwarf, I don't really expect the visual jokes to be there. Maybe when they're out, they're not Red Dwarf related. These ones were just all because the clever reverse jokes, but they seem to get aged with it. So I sort of reversed all them together. Aye. That's right. Please pull your hands apart and give a warm goodbye to the Secessional Reverse Brothers.
I remember that.
But it just goes to show, basically, a lot of these things sink in, and then there's other things that just sort of mesh and disappear when you watch it.
It's like that.
But that was basically based on Talkie Toaster. I was a sideline from Talkie Toaster. But Whitehall, I liked aspects of it. I liked when he was going to pot it, he was getting himself pissed, as it were. I'm not pissed.
Yeah.
Even though he was slurring his words. But I thought that was quite good because it's almost a case of Cinzano Bianco. You couldn't get him off the table. Which I thought was actually quite good because you imagine nowadays people going, Cinzano Bianco was because it's not a drink you hear a lot about nowadays. Whereas back in the day, Cinzano was always somebody drank Cinzano. Somebody used to drink a Snowball.
I'm thinking of the is that the one with the adverts, Leonard Rossiter and Joan
Leonard
Collins?
Rossiter and Joan Collins.
And he always used to end up spilling it on her one way or another, didn't he?
Because he's got a watch on and she says what time,
That's
and he goes like that because he's going to watch it that side. So she thought she was going to go like that, and he actually went the opposite way. But yeah, Joan Collins and Leonard Rossiter, those were classic, considering they were two fairly big names.
See, it's funny, isn't it? Just little things like that. I mean, it must be 30, 40 years ago, but they just stick in your memory.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can't remember where I left my glasses on my phone 5 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with that one
all the time.
Yeah.
I'm sort of working on
it's your lintel that causes that. The more lintels you have to cross under, the more you forget things. Because you stay in the same room and you're looking for something. As long as you don't go out of that room, you'll remember where you put it. See, as soon as you go out of the room, you forget what you came in for, and that's it.
Oh,
so somebody says it's the lintel that does that.
That's true. I very often go out of our flat here, and then as soon as I get outside, I remember something I should have taken with me. And like every time I go out and the front door shuts, suddenly it pops into my memory, and I'm like, and I got to come back in.
Yesterday, I had gone to work yesterday. Monday. So got everything ready. I says, I need to take that, I had it all piled up, carried it all out to the car, put it in the car, sat in the car, turned the engine and thought, my wallet.
Yeah. There's
And the
always
thing is, with the
something,
two
isn't there?
dogs constantly nipping at my heel because they want to come with me, and I'm having to constantly push them in and get the door shut while carrying all this.
Ah,
And I still managed to forget it, and I had to go back in.
And then they look
Yeah.
at you like, "What are you
Uh-huh.
doing?"
yeah.
That's why I have to leave a mask in my car, because if I go out, I go, oh, forgot a mask.
It's like that here with one of our cats. He always follows me to the door and doesn't want me to go. So you have to sort of get out, and then when I come back in, then you've got to sort of battle with the cat to get out again.
All while he's looking at you like, "Are you like doing this on purpose or what? Are you trying to be funny?"
I know, it's just they know when you're going out. My wife says that they actually know when you're going out, because as soon as we put a jacket on or go into do something, they think they're going out. So they start getting up, jumping, making
There you
sure they
go.
follow you everywhere you go, just in case you sneak out when they're not looking.
Oh yeah.
I know. A dog we used to have, absolutely beautiful border collie. I would only have to think, oh, it's time to go for a walk now. And she would know. I wouldn't even have to move. I'd just think it, and she'd be jumping up, ready, come to me, go into the door. They just know. They just tune into you.
It is, and
They
it's
are
basically
really good
noticed
at
thing. Did you know, see, there was a thing on, it was about a guy had said his horse could count. So the guy would be getting a number, show it to the horse, and the horse would go 1, 2, 3.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I remember
And
that.
he basically says he didn't give it any verbal cues, nothing. He used to just stand there with the sign. So what they did was they did their thing, and they showed him the number, and they said to they would say to him, just say the number to the animal and see if it could get it. And he says, but the animal, it's the number on the card it recognised. They said, just say it. So he would tell it, and it would do the stamps. And then what they did was they showed the horse the number and never showed the guy. And the guy got to do it, and he got it wrong. It was the guy. It was just an unconscious thing. He would just sort of go. So the horse would be following him. And it was something, it was just so unconscious. It was only when they were looking for it, they found it, because nobody else noticed that he was doing these verbal cues that the horse had picked up. But that's why they all thought the horse could count, because they never even...
interesting.
They didn't even... They thought it was just that was the horse. It was just wee verbal cues that the guy was just doing so subtly that he didn't even know he was doing it. He thought the horse could count. And they found it is because he would do these things, because as soon as he didn't know the number was all over the place. Or if he did know the number and the horse didn't, the horse would get it right anyway.
Interesting.
It's just one of those things. Animals just pick up subtle clues. So like even something like, I'll go to take the dog out in 5 minutes. The dog's going, he's thinking about that again, because you've probably changed the way you're sitting, and the dog's going, he does that every time I'm going out. I'm getting ready to go out. Come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same as, see if I come in here and I sit down at my desk and I go and pick up my wallet and put it in my pocket. The dog's sitting there. That's it. Even if I do it without even thinking, I just put it in my pocket. The dog goes nuts, because he knows if I've got my money, my wallet in my pocket, I must be going out. So he's constantly at me. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I do it, but so it's not as if I'm looking around and being furtive. It's just a case of I pick it up, put it in my pocket, and he goes nuts. Same as if I'm having a cigarette when I'm outside. I pick up my cigarettes, go and have a cigarette. Dogs, no problem. I'll put them in my pocket, come in and put them on the window ledge for the next time. No problem. But see if I'm going out, I put them in my pocket, and as soon as I put them in my pocket, he goes nuts. Yeah, I do put them in my pocket if I'm going outside for a smoke. And it's almost a case of, what am I doing different? The only difference is I've not come in the house yet and put them on the window ledge. I've just kept them in my pocket, but I've not even gone through the door, so it doesn't even know if I'm going to put them there or keep them in my pocket. But it goes as if to say, you're going out and I'm not leaving you until you... And you're sitting there thinking, really? I am going out, but how did you know?
Yeah, they are amazing.
Yep. But definitely no Mr. Ed. I just know it's ridiculous, Mr. Ed, the counting horse.
I remember Mr. Ed,
I remember Mr. Ed. Wilbur. Wilbur.
Wilbur.
Yeah, that was it.
Even we saw it over here, so we know who Mr. Ed is. And there's another one. Sadaka saying that White Hole was probably the only other Holly episode besides Queek.
Interesting, that is.
Aye, because it's centered round Holly, but considering the cut down time, she's actually in it.
Mm.
It doesn't feel like a Holly centric one.
Mm.
But it is all about Holly, I suppose, with the...
That's right, because they're trying to restore her IQ, aren't they?
They reduced it to 67. And they doubled it to 12 in the 345, which I thought was silly as well. There you go as well. Because she said 345, got it on the screen. And they says,
she was only...
That's not too bad. And she says, I've missed the decimal point. And then she starts talking about the time going down, but it shows you on the screen 345 for a while. It didn't reduce down at all. And I'm sitting there thinking, if she just forgot to put a decimal point, the numbers would have reduced because of that. And I thought it's a wee mistake there because they should have just said it rather than showed it. Because the numbers would have ticked out otherwise. Because as soon as she changed it to seconds, you could see the numbers reducing.
Yes.
And that's when I thought, a wee glitch there. Wee glitch in the Matrix.
Glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah. But I thought it, White Hole, although it was funny and very sci-fi, it wasn't as strong as the rest, unfortunately.
I would agree, yeah. I would agree with that.
But
yes.
Now we'll come to dimension jumping.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I wasn't waiting for this one at all.
But it just goes to show Ace Rimmer, even considering I understood the premise of it, I'm sitting there thinking, I wish they would stop doing certain tropes when they do that. Like, for instance, why would the cat be there or the padre? Because the cat only came around because Lister was on Red Dwarf, so the cat people. So why would the padre be there?
Mm.
And I thought it would have been better if the padre wasn't there. Like, for instance, Crichton wasn't there. But you obviously had Robert Llewellyn playing a different part, which was fine.
I did remember sort of...
The padre was meant to be playing a different part, but it just... Yeah. The cat is so distinctive. Danny John-Jules was so distinctive that I just it is the same. I didn't know if he had these fangs, so he was not meant to be a cat.
Yeah, I did find that a little odd when that one little bit with Danny John-Jules' character. I thought, really?
Yeah, I think it would have been better if they cut that bit out, and yes, Robert Llewellyn could play a wee part.
Mm.
But I thought Danny was great in this. My leg. If I knew this was going to happen, I would have actually worn white. That goes with anything. We need to do it. You go Grand Green with mauve. That would work. He just basically, same again, he's a scene stealer. He just basically grabs everything. Even when he's injured, he steals the scenes because the one-liners just come out and they're just so Danny. And although it was very Chris Barry Rimmer centric, I think he still managed to steal the scenes. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe that was because Cat is such a scene stealer in every scene that he's in, but this was like definitely a Rimmer centric episode, so perhaps they were sort of keeping him a little bit back.
Yeah,
it's a great character episode.
It definitely is. And even the hair, and you're sitting there thinking,
it's great.
That I can understand the different hairstyles, but different hair color.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, That's a bit of an odd one.
The only thing it changed was one get held back, one didn't. So are they saying that he's so vain he colours his hair?
I was going to say maybe that's what it is because he's just so vain.
But he's accordingly not, because he's basically not that vain type. He doesn't want the.
They make it sound like he's naturally that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so when I was thinking about it, maybe he's just decided here because he's vain, and they obviously build the character up that he's not vain. He's not looking for all the adulation. He's rather, instead of going to a big admiral, a party with all the admirals, he was rather sit and have a few beers with the boys.
Yeah.
So that it sort of, it doesn't go with the vainness. And obviously later on we know about the hair later on. But at the moment we don't, the very first time we see him, and I thought it would have been better even if he had longer hair but the same colour. It would have worked.
Yes, that's a good point. I didn't pick up on that.
See, I pick up on stupid stuff. It's amazing.
It's not stupid. It's actually, good.
It's good observation. Good observation. I thought it's great. We love it, Ace Rimmer. We love the character, and he's also, we thought, reminds us of Captain Flashheart from Blackadder a little bit. There's just a little bit of that about him.
Yeah,
not quite as mad as Rick Mail, but he's definitely getting there.
Yeah.
I think the Lord Flashheart was very.
Flashheart.
The probably looked at it and thought, instead of Lord Flashheart, we'll do a nicer version of a charismatic guy like that.
Yeah.
Because Rick Mail is just manic in everything he plays in. I mean, I've seen all of the bottom. I've seen a lot of them. Anytime they came to Glasgow, I went. I used to go and see them all. Loved bottom. I've got the videos and the DVDs of the bottom shows live, recorded live.
Yeah.
None of them were recorded in Glasgow,
unfortunately,
but it's just we saw them on stage and everything.
I absolutely love Rick Mail. We miss him so much. He was just such a force of nature.
Did you see what was it called? It wasn't the Absolute Power. He did one where he was he basically was a genius. It was after Filthy Rich and Cat Flap. So they did the young ones, Filthy Rich and Cat Flap. They did a couple of other things. Obviously they did Bottom, then they did he did bits and pieces in like Red Dwarf and other stuff, but he did one, it was just him as a genius. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I've got it somewhere. It's not Absolute Power. It's the name of the character. Unfortunately, it was because he played a professor.
Oh, I shall have a look now. Again, going to good old Wikipedia. Here we go. Believe Nothing. 2002. Rick Mail as a quadruple professor, Adonis.
That's the one.
His surname I'm going to be very, very careful with. I don't think I'm going to attempt that. It starts with a C and ends with a T, and that's all I'm saying.
Well, it was Kinnock or something like that.
That's right. That's it.
but that was one. What was it called again?
Believe Nothing.
Believe Nothing. I thought it was hilarious, but it played it was, considering all the characters, the Alan Bastard, the Rick, and the Rick, and basically he's played a different version of Rick and the Lord Flashheart. Yeah, and I was seeing Siddiq, and basically I knew a girl who had a massive crush on Rick Mail, except in Bottom. She was so nauseated by the episode where he nearly got that posh woman. Helen Slattery. She played the posh bird.
Right.
Remember the one where Adrian Henry kept going, Mom? He was playing the butler. You know what I mean? I see you next Tuesday. That was the one.
Yeah.
But I think that program there, I forgot already. See, just all the stupid things I remember, and I can't even remember the name of a program mentioned less than a minute and a half ago.
I totally get where you're coming from there.
But that's
It's
the
my
character in that, the professor. We'll just call him Professor. That's probably the easiest thing to do.
That's it, yes.
The professor, his character was so different. It wasn't nasty. Because he played nasty, funny characters. Alan Bastard. He played nauseatingly disgusting characters. Bob. He played Weasley characters. Rick and the Young Ones. He played
He was
popular
interrupted.
characters, as in Filthy Rich and Catflap. He was a personality.
Yeah.
But this one, he played sort of a character which was not as nice. Still funny, but not really a nice one. Whereas all the other ones were nice.
I can kind of see where she was coming from, because even when he's played like he played in Bastard, you know, he's always been able to play even sort of evil characters or something like that, but he plays them in such a way that he's still charming, he's still so likable. But to see him play a character that's just genuinely repugnant is definitely different, you know, because we're so used to just liking him whatever he did. He just had that way of being able to just charm the audience instantly. Yeah,
and especially with Bottom, the things he used to do, the two of them used to do to each other, or the poor gas man. You know what I mean? Sellotaping them to the roof, sticking forks in them. You know what I mean?
It was a bit harsher, wasn't it?
It was just nauseating. Even trick or treating with his homemade taser that every time he pulled the trigger, it is nauseating. But he's just such I suppose, a lovable. You could even that character. He wasn't a lovable rogue. He was just a nauseating, not an evil person, just a don't want to touch that type of person. And he still played it very well. That he was still loved in the part. But yes, I can't imagine anybody thinking, need to get a poster up from Bob. There you go. No, never mind that. I'll just get somebody else and put that poster up. But he could play so well, and he's just such a great actor. He's just such a great comedian that everything he turned his hand to, it was just amazing. Did you see his speech he did at the university when he got an honorary doctorate?
Yes, I remember that.
That was a very good speech, and it basically showed that, believe it or not, he might play all these dumb characters, but he's not a dumb man. He's a very intelligent man.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's where some of the best
comedy and stuff like that. So people automatically forget that people did have this education behind them because they played dumb characters or silly characters.
But sometimes that's where the best comedy comes from. Yeah. You know, it comes from a very deep intellectual place. And sometimes that is some of the best comedy.
Yeah, and it is.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely an example of that for sure.
Yeah. That was the one there. What I get is every time someone says trick or treat, he fools himself. That was he was dressed as the devil. But anyway, the start, and it just goes to show a segue from Ace Rimmer to Rick Mail.
Yeah.
Flash.
There's a connection there, definitely.
Oh yeah,
definitely. I think they could see very similar traits in both of them.
What I loved about
you look at the joke.
Yeah.
When he played Flashheart and Blackadder Goes Forth. when he basically says, "I thought I'd crash, but when I returned, the stock price in Rubber Johnnies went up." And in this one, Ace Rimmer says, "If you don't come back, you'll ruin." And it was the same idea of the joke. Both
Yeah, it
of them
was-
had a similar.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I would say on a similar effect on the female form. But it's basically a very similar joke in both episodes, both seasons, one with Flash and one with Ace.
Yep.
And it sort of suits both of them because the two of them are similar characters.
Yeah, definitely. I think I definitely picked up
Yeah.
that straight away with this. The sort of buddy vibe between Lister and Ace was great because of course Rimmer was just so nauseated by it and he was so jealous of it that Ace was just, he instantly like had a rapport with Lister, and Lister like respected him, which is what Rimmer would always have wanted.
Yeah.
You know, but he doesn't have the sort of tools to do it.
Yeah. See right at the end of it, the bit where he tries to drop the stuff on him.
Yes.
Right, and the Scudder tells the Scudder to let go and nothing happens.
Yeah.
For some reason, the episode, the one I was watching, it ends with just the scroll in text saying how he'd searched and never found another one as bad or as embarrassing as the one in Red Dwarf. But I remember seeing one where it finished before the scroll is he walks up to look up at wondering why it didn't fall, and it fell on him. Was there two cuts? Has anybody seen the other cut?
That's a good question.
Because
That's
I
a
have
good
seen
question.
both of them.
It's another great detail.
Because it's just, I've seen both of them and I can't remember if it's just been, I've got an older DVD. But it's part of the set, so it shouldn't be. Or maybe I've ripped it, and when I've ripped it, I've actually clipped it. Because I rip my stuff onto so I can watch them on my PC while I'm working. Otherwise, I take up one of my screens, and I don't like doing that. I like having it in the corner. But I'm wondering if I've actually, when I've clipped it, I've ripped it, I've clipped a bit, and that's why I'm missing something.
Maybe.
It's just annoying because when I was watching it, I'm sitting there thinking, "Where's the bit? Where's that bit?" So because it's not, and do you know what I don't like about this season? And last season was not as bad. I liked the monologues from Holly at the start, and then they obviously changed it because Norman's not there. But see the beginning. It shows you all the clips of all the bits of clips from all the episodes you've got about to watch. You're sitting there thinking now that I've seen that bit. You're sitting there thinking now for the season. When I was watching the very first one, I thought they're all bits from the season. I would have preferred if they did bits from the season before, so it's not things that you're going to see.
Yeah.
Because you saw the very first time you saw Lister as the superhuman. Hey, you can't wait for me. I'm not. But the very first time you saw him wasn't in DNA. It was right at the beginning of Camille when they were doing the startup screen.
Yeah.
Because he was there. And you're sitting there thinking they ruined that wee bit with the superhuman. Now, obviously, the joke was he was a lot smaller, but that was the first time you saw him. But you saw him in an earlier episode as just a title screen.
Yeah, that scene, the scene where Ace Rimmer looks up and the regular Rimmer tried to drop something. Because that is there because we watched it on BritBox last week.
He basically,
it
was there. He looks up and goes and walks away, and then
he comes across like, oh, look what he's trying to do, as if he's hopeless. Look what he's trying to do, and he just walked away.
Yeah. And then it went to the scroll, the Star Wars scroll, and all the dimensions and all that. He
never found another one as bitter and twisted, blah, blah, blah.
As the one in Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the bit where you see Rimmer looking there as if to say, glad he's gone, and then suddenly all falls on him. Even though he's a hologram, it will just pass through him, but you just see it falling on him and you think, serves you right. But I'm sitting there thinking, didn't happen. If I missed something or something, is this a different version? And it's because I thought, is this a different version? Has anything else changed? Did the change add in wee bits or take wee bits out? Because you know what it's like. Sometimes a different version's not just got a wee teeny bit taken out. There's a slight change here and there, and it annoyed me. It annoyed me so much.
I'll have another look at it. I'll sort of go back
I'm
to
actually going to
and
take out the DVD again and actually check it.
I'm curious now because when I only watched it last week. So.
I watched it today again, and it's just I noticed it, and I'm sitting there thinking I watched it to the end because I always watch them to the end and just let it flip on to the next one. So it's not as if I skip a wee bit, and it was there. So I'm wondering if is it right at the end after the scroll, as in a very end screen just before the end logo comes up, and that's the first time they've put an end part in.
This could be what they call the Mandela effect, but that's a whole other discussion.
Oh, I know. Yes,
an interesting one.
I'm aware of the Mandela effect, so
I get it all the time.
But what was your thoughts on Dimension Jump? When? Come on. Your favorite episode?
I think so. I think for me it was partly because I also felt like the Rimmer characters' difficulties with life were handled very well. In other words, you really got to see and almost feel that level of pain that he felt, that he didn't get that opportunity to go in a different direction, to where his life path diverged. And you could really see that, you could feel that pain that he was going through. So I thought it was a good Rimmer episode. I thought it was really good sort of backstory for his character, because it really makes you appreciate, the part of the reason why he's so bitter and he's just so frustrated all the time. But yet that Ace is still in him, is still him. And if I remember correctly, Lister's reaction after Ace goes back to his time, Lister doesn't really pile on Rimmer all that much. He kind of goes a little easy on him.
Yeah.
He kind of says something to him like, oh, well, he is you, but your lives just, you went on different paths, So I liked the fact that it was handled, I thought, very well. So I think it was a nice episode for Rimmer's character.
But didn't pile on. The fact is, see, you are a wee weasel because.
Yeah.
It was just a case of things happen. And as he said, it was a case of he got what he perceived as the break by not getting put back, which turned out wasn't the break.
Yeah, that was the I thought the clever twist. He got the one who got held back who actually became the sort of the more fulfilled person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I must admit, I think Dimension Jump was even the again, Starbug crashed. Again, Starbug won. I wish they would put different numbers on it so they could crash as many as they want. But it's always Starbug 1 it crashes. But yes, they at least says if we don't get this fixed, this is not going to fly again for a first time. And they went out and fixed it. I think the whole, it was an intelligent one as well as extremely funny. And I think it's definitely one of the top two. So you can imagine it's not my favourite, but if I've put it in 2 instead of the top one. But that's what they say, isn't it? You always basically, it's my top 5, which means it's 5. But it's definitely my top 2 in this season. And I think it was a very cleverly well done introduction to what Rimmer could have been.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was quite a tender episode, really, for Rimmer. I mean, it had plenty of comedy in it, but it was actually quite a strong character episode for him.
Yeah. But then again, there's also the other side of the coin. Our Rimmer, when he was asking them all the questions, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's all that, and you're sitting there thinking, really? no even the courtesy saying, well, I'm not entirely sure because Craig does all that and I failed my exams. It was like,
Yeah.
And it was just, it was almost like he became a kid at school again.
Yeah,
Well, it just reminded me of. It's almost like he was back to being getting bullied at school by asked all these questions, because previously you'd heard about his dad.
Yeah.
Like, if we didn't answer the questions, I almost starved to death, that type of thing. And now he's getting somebody asking him similar questions. I just thought he's back to being a kid, getting the thought of getting starved because he couldn't answer the questions by giving it the.
Yeah, it was sort of, it was forcing him back into that mindset. And like I said, that's why I quite like this episode, because it really showed a real side, to Rimmer's character.
Yeah. And even when Ace basically asked him if he could do this, could do that, he says, smoke me a kipper, you can do that. And I thought, even he's having a dig at himself.
Yeah.
But it's almost a case of, you could just see the thing is, the scroll wasn't needed. I don't think the scroll was needed. It was a humorous thing to explain that he is the worst of the worst. I think even that just finishing with that line would have worked. Well, smoke me a kipper, you can do that. And you're sitting there thinking, he can't, because he's a stuff like hologram, so he can't touch anything. And they can get the scutters to cook for him, but the last time he did that, he poisoned the cat. You know what I mean? So he can't even smoke him a kipper. He just has to get somebody else to do it for him, because he can't do it. So even that line, it's almost a case of, no, I can't do that either. But being dead, it's not a case of because he's dead, it's because he's a hologram and can't touch anything. So even that line, effectively, although it's a case of, here's something you can do, he can't. And I think it would have been a better way to end it with the smoke me a kipper rather than actually the scroll, because the scroll basically just tells you he's the worst of the worst of the worst. I think it would have been a bit more ambiguous, but left you with the understanding that I don't think you're going to find anybody else out there like that, because we know he's the worst of the worst of the worst. You just didn't need to tell it.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I mean, it's like somebody turning around to me, going to me, say, "You're bald, aren't you? You don't need to tell me. I know. We all know. We can all see." But it's that type of thing. I just found it. Although I liked the scroll because it did tell us, I just thought it was something that they need to tell us, because they've already told us that with all the questions Ace asked them, and even down to the fact where he says, "Smoke me a kipper, you can do that, can't you?" Although I was thinking, actually, he can't. So
no,
it just goes to show there's nothing he could do to be in any par with Ace.
Yeah, and that's what was quite. It was quite. It was sort of double-edged, because you could see the humor and what was going on, but at the same time, I felt quite bad for Rimmer there. I could see, you could just see how awful it was to see that he had made it and it was very successful in another timeline, but that wasn't him now.
Yeah. So and when they said they basically they had already discussed it, because Ace was telling his Saturday morning TV show about the Ace and the Skipper. What was it? They said it sounded like a TV show.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
By the bush
Ace
kangaroo.
And Skipper sounded like a kid's TV show about a boy and his bush kangaroo. And the thing is, I can't imagine any Americans getting that reference. We know what he was talking about. Australians know what he was talking about. But would anybody in the States get that reference?
Which one was that now?
The personality is basically the ace and the skipper. That's when he says it's like a TV. It sounds like a TV show from the 70s. Well, no, from the 70s.
Actually, Skippy. Yeah, Skippy was known in the
Skippy
States.
Bush Kangaroo, because
Yeah,
he said
it was
it
known.
sounded like a boy in his bush kangaroo.
Yeah,
And I'm
it
sitting there
was.
thinking, how anybody in the States would have really got that reference? Because I know
Yeah,
it was
I
shown over here, and I know it's an Australian thing, but was
Yeah,
it shown
well,
in America?
it was. It was. Skippy was shown
Oh.
in America. Yeah.
Yeah, see,
I
I was
remember.
there. I just didn't know. It was one of those
Yeah,
things.
yeah. I
I
was
know we
definitely
got a
aware
lot
of that.
of American stuff. We also got a lot of Spanish stuff, because I remember Zorro, but I
Yeah.
also remember there was a couple other things which were dubbed and shown here, because there was some Japanese stuff that was dubbed, and we got, and there was things like there was it was the French and Spanish ones. It was the ones about the knights set in France or Spain, and it was dubbed. I think it was Spanish, and it was dubbed. It was on at the same time as Champion, Wonder Horse, Skippy, Flipper, Saturday mornings, Banana Splits. I think it was part of the Banana Split show. It was just one of those things that was actually inserted a TV show within it. And it was, I'm sure, the Knights of something or other. And it was dubbed. So we got a lot of that. So I didn't know if the Americans got it. It's just one of those things. So
Yes,
I know that was
definitely remember.
but I didn't know if they got things like Australian, because you know what it's like. We would get some stuff used when they get you to get stuff back.
Same thing. Yeah, we got some stuff and then not other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, the unfortunate side for Britain was we got a lot more American programs than they did get British programs. So any American humour, we got it because we had got all these programs anyway. And it was most of the humour was based on programs that were popular anyway.
Yeah.
And we got the brands that were popular in America anyway. So it was a double-edged sword. We understood the humour, but there was some of the reference we might have that they wouldn't know.
Yeah, American audiences. I mean, I grew up on Monty Python, and I was so young when I first started watching it. I didn't get half the jokes, thankfully. But obviously, I grew up on it. My dad was a massive Monty Python fan, and so I guess unless you were exposed to from an earlier age, to some British comedies, there were things that I probably would never have picked up on fully, every single nuance I might not have picked up on at the time until much, much later. But I think British television programs are definitely very popular in the States. I think we probably, I wanted more of them. I always gravitated to those myself.
Yeah.
There were lots of good US shows as well. But I definitely
got a lot of good US shows coming over as well.
The British programming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a good point. I think Dimension Jump could only work before Meltdown, because after that episode there was no way Lister would ever spare Rimmer's feelings. Whereas in Dimension Jump he did, but yes, there's no way in earth if
I thought that was a good point.
Was put in, so if they did put them out a sequence, I think those two had to go, because if it was the other way around, no way. There'd be definitely no way of that. But Dimension Jump, so a good one and a good character one.
Oh yeah, that's one of the best of the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was great for Chris Barry, because he must have had so much fun jumping between the two.
Well, you've seen the outtakes for, well, that's actually no for Dimension Jump, it's the Meltdown. There's some good outtakes, because he was obviously, he did the spitting image, he used to do the voices and stuff like that.
Right.
And Meltdown, when he was in his pattern uniform, he used to do his Kenneth Williams. That one. And he used to do it through in the extras. You see him doing some of the outtakes. He'll say something and he'll turn to the camera and do his Kenneth Williams, which was superb because he was
That
a voice
was
actor and he used to do spitting image and stuff like that. He's very good at that. That's why the body swap. It was basically he did the cat, he did Crichton, and he used to, like, when he was copying him, even when he did Holly, when he would follow behind him when something was happening to the holograph suite, he would go. Chris Barry used to do that. That's why they wrote those in, so he could do those parts, because they knew he was the only one that could take the mickey out of each other character without actually sounding as if they're taking the mickey, because he was a voice actor. Because remember the one with Holly when there was the Hemi and he's walking behind each of them. So the Holly said something, and then Lister said something, and he's standing and saying the exact same thing in their voices.
Oh wow!
And basically that was him. That's what he could do. That's why they've got him. And then the one in the body swap when he did the cat, and he basically acted as Rimmer in his body, so he basically acted the part and he looked quite natural doing it, whereas Craig Charles didn't look as natural playing Lister. But that's because he's having to actually change his whole character, whereas Chris Barry always did that anyway, because Spitting Image he was played different characters.
Right, okay.
Ways. So whereas in Meltdown he used to do it for fun. Anytime he corpsed or somebody corpsed or made a mistake, he would do it. Kenneth Williams was his favourite one for it. He'd do his old matron and stuff like that.
This was a really funny episode. This one is almost like it's like got a slapstick feel to it.
And I think that's why it's one of my favourites for this season.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just love some of the best
They keep disappearing and then
Elvis. Clayton Mark. Hang on a minute. Yeah, thank you very much. It's just superb. Where do we go? That way. And, you know what I mean? Just basically every one of them. Stan Laurel.
Oh, he was great.
It was just hilarious. And the poor guy drop and give me 50. Get that down. And it's just, I just thought it was one of the funniest ones because slapstick, historical humour, even the bit with Caligula. Anytime the cat said something, he would slap Lister. She shut up! I just thought it was superb. And even the cat in that one as well.
Yeah.
Oh, the building, it's some type of modern art you've seen, I think. It's sort of an upside down L motif structure. Has it got a rope motif? Tell me it's a gallows. Tell me it's a gallows. I can take it. It's a gallows. Or they'll be persuaded. Tell me they're going to torture us. I can take it. They're going to torture us. And just the same again. It's just so well done, and I think all the parts, just the humour just flowed through it.
What I loved about this one as well, again, from Rimmer's point of view, is he got to play Patton, a Patton-like character, and that was really up his street, wasn't it? I mean, he was loving that, and the bit where he makes Gandhi get down and do push-ups or something.
Get that nappy off and get into your uniform. Drop and give me 50. No eyeballing. I'm keeping an eye on you, Gandhi. And it was just
he was in his element. He was really in his element there.
But some of the jokes in that can't be done nowadays.
Sadly, no. Yeah, and again, I think what was great was that there's no malice in the humor. There's no malice in it. It's just a bit of fun.
DC joke couldn't get saying again. Yeah, that was just a quote from. Was it the Dirty Dozen or was it the Officer and the Gentleman?
Which one?
The bit he did for to Francis of Assisi.
I'm not sure.
The Steersing joke. There's two types of people that come out of Assisi.
Yeah, I remember the line now, but I can't be sure which one it's come from.
Was it not? Did they not do that? There was one. It was I think we one is. Was it an Officer and a Gentleman when they were in the camp, or was it the bit where the Sergeant Major says to, was it Richard Gere's character, before he becomes an officer and a gentleman, when he's trying to rile up, there's only two type of people that come out of Philadelphia, and was that not the line? And I can't
Interesting.
remember if it's from that one or it was from the Dirty Dozen, because a lot of they mentioned the Dirty Dozen a couple of times, and it seemed to be going that way.
Yeah, it might very well be. I can't remember An Officer and a Gentleman. I can remember when it came out, but it wasn't one that I went to see, and I don't think I've actually ever seen it right the way through.
I've seen it once, and that's why I can't remember 100%.
That's pretty good though for seeing it once, picking that up.
And the Winnie the Pooh one is superb.
Oh yeah.
That's something nobody should ever see.
Yeah.
Winnie the Pooh, he's refusing the blindfold. Remember, mate, there were only two types of CCs. We watched a new boy. It was from An Officer and a Gentleman. Thank you, Sudaku24. So I got it right. There you go. It's basically, there you go.
Oh, brilliant.
Wow, there we go.
Yeah,
Can't believe I actually got that one right. As my mum used to say, no often I'm right, but I'm wrong again. But yeah, I quite agree with that statement there. It's a chick flick, and I only watched it once. Honest, same here.
Yeah, I have to hold my hand up. I was definitely more of like a Predator girl than I was an Officer and a Gentleman girl. I like watching.
That's my girl.
I think my sisters watched it, or I watched it at my mum's, or I can't even remember when it came out. So it could have been with my first wife, but I don't know. But I've seen it once, and I just remember I've seen clips of it. Obviously, the 80s.
Early 80s, I think.
Yeah,
It's not have been 20, so it's probably
definitely.
It'd probably been my first wife.
And I remember there was a song from it as well.
Aye.
It went hard.
Take Me Up Where We Belong.
Yeah.
That's
the one that I've seen clips all the time, and they always play it because Aeroplane, they did that, remember?
Yeah.
He and the woman comes in, tosses off the cat, and lifts him up and carries him out. And it's basically it's a trope. It's played for laughs quite a lot. You know what I mean? And it just goes to show things that stick. It's amazing. When I started to watch it,
they do.
But it sticks. It's just because these bits have been thingy. You obviously remember wee bits from here and there. It's really weird, but I think they were doing the Meltdown. It seemed to be the Dirty Dozen. He mentioned that Lister says you're trying to turn all these pacifists and bring it into and clergymen into the Dirty Dozen. But
yes,
the lines. That's what I thought. Were they from the Dirty Dozen? They didn't sound it, and that's where it's the one. I'm sure that was that, but it couldn't be said now. One like that. It's the same as the part where they were talking about the Goering. Remember?
Oh yes, any of those.
It couldn't mention any of those because he says the cat says, "Are you sure?" He doesn't have the hips. But they were just done because they were slagging him. They were not doing about anybody. It's just one of those things. But it was a fashion thing, and that's all it was. But you can't imagine any of those jokes hitting the airways now, which is unfortunate because they were funny.
Yes, exactly.
Funny for being funny.
Exactly, which is the whole point. But as you say, a lot of these things will probably run into trouble. The dreaded cancellation culture.
Yeah, and that's how you kill comedy.
Yeah,
that's how you kill comedy. That's the formula for it.
Well, it's how it was killed.
Yeah.
You know, but of course that's another. We're off onto another discussion.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But
this is quite a good funny when the characters, the replicants. I mean, I quite like the banter with Einstein and Pythagoras. You know, it's always you with the triangles.
There's only 20 of us. If there was 21, we could have it. I thought superb. It's just taking the absolute mick, which I thought was superb. But do you know what I liked as well, which was the monster bit. See, I like my Godzilla movies, and I've got most of them.
Yes.
However, it's called Gappa. I think it's the.
I thought I saw that just now on the page.
Chifilibin or something like that. But I know it as the monster from the prehistoric planet.
Oh, cool.
But I knew that was the US release, the monster from the prehistoric planet. But it was called Gappa, the Chilibin or Chilifin or something like that. I can't even remember the pronunciation. Monster. And that's one I don't have. And that's the only reason I remembered it, because I've got a list of ones that I want to get. Because I've got a lot of the early Gideon and stuff like that. So I'm still always in the look of the old classic monster movies. And that's one I don't have. And try to get it for a UK release, because unfortunately my new Blu-ray player won't play US. And although it said it would, but it doesn't. Bummer. Because got that. And it will not play on UK region or European region or Australian. But nice.
Fanboys, right.
That is, they're taking the absolute mick out of Star Wars with the help of Star Trek.
Yes, we've seen it. We've seen it.
Is it Seth Rogen, that nutcase? I don't like him in a lot of his stuff, but he plays two parts in it. He plays the Star Trek guy and he plays the bouncer or the pimp.
When and I have seen that. Remember, it's on Amazon Prime.
They've got the van. Remember the van with all the Star Wars theme on it.
And they're going on a mission. They've got to get into Skywalker Ranch.
Oh yes.
And they run into Star Trek fans on the way, and there's a big fight.
Yes.
But
God, I would have guaranteed I'd never seen that until you said that.
But just unfortunately, they couldn't get the rights to some of the outfits. Because the Star Trek outfits just, unfortunately, yes, they look like cosplay ones. So in that respect, yes, but some of these ones were so Trekky or Trekker. If in the movie they actually got annoyed when you said one and the other when it was the wrong one. But you think they would have actually made their costumes a bit better. And I think the reason they couldn't do that is because Star Trek wouldn't have let them. But William Shatner's in it. And they make reference to him about him trying to get his own back at Star Wars and stuff like that. I quite enjoyed it, but I got the box and it's a lot of extras on it, and I can't see them because new DVD player will not play US, and accordingly it says it would, but it doesn't. And I was gutted.
That's annoying. That's annoying.
So I had to buy. I've got a wee cheap one, which is regionless. It works on my PC 95% of the time. Sometimes I'm watching a movie and it goes, boom, yeah, and I have to restart it because it won't let me go because it's on the PC, so it's the software that has to run it, so it doesn't need DVD. So I can only watch bits and pieces of it, and if it's I watch a movie, it's fine, but if I try and watch extras because it's skipping around the DVD, it just goes wee. So I'm not a happy chap. So I'll need to get it in a UK one.
I know the feeling. We're also watching classic Star Trek on Blu-ray, and we've got the set of discs. And sometimes you put a disc in, and the damn thing will not start. I'll have to take it out, put it back in, fiddle it round, move it, stand on my head, do a ritual, etc., and put it back in, and then the damn thing will play then. It gets very frustrating.
Up until last week, I had a DVD player, bog standard UK region DVD player, because all my stuff's in DVD, so I never bothered about upgrading it. But for my birthday, I got some cash, so I just put it into a Blu-ray player. So at least it's upgraded. Good thing about the Blu-ray player, I can put a memory stick in, so anything I've got downloaded from wherever, I can just put it in, music, pictures, videos, whatever, and I can put it in and play it in it, as well as the DVDs and Blu-rays. However, I still prefer ripping it so I can watch it on my screen, so I don't need to take the big screen off. So I can watch that and the big screen and 2 wee screens for doing my work on, because I'm getting old. I need to actually use the big screen for the work and the wee screen for the programs. I'm getting too old. TV, I'm telling you, getting too old for it. But the fact is, I actually recognised the movie that they took the shots for the monsters. I thought, oh, getting old.
Yeah.
A 1967 movie.
Yeah, and I like the way Crichton sort of, he sort of made sort of reference to it as well. Oh, that was terribly unconvincing.
What I liked about that, when they come back and he says, "What should we do now? I think we should run."
Yes.
Run? What's that? And he points to him, and then he's talking, and he basically hears a noise, and he turns around and runs away. he's already sparked it, and he's away. But I thought, very well done. It's just, what would you do if you see a monster? Somebody will sit there and go, "Oh, look, that's wonderful. Look at the size of that thing. Hello." And they did the same with DNA. Remember? Rimmer's Lister's going, "Right, we'll fall back here." They're already ran, and he's still standing as it coming towards them, saying, "Right, we'll fall back to the room," and they turn around and there's nobody there because they've all bugged off.
Yeah.
It's a similar joke, but it's still as funny because that's what they would do. Because would the cat hang around? Nope.
Nope.
Would Rimmer hang around? Nope. King? Yes, probably, but in DNA, he didn't hang around. He was away with the rest of them. But in that one, he was the one that's actually pointing and saying we should run.
Yes.
Well, Rimmer's running as fast as he could. And that was the meltdown, was the other glitch with the soft light hologram. Did you notice it?
Ah.
Rimmer was riding a motorbike.
God, yeah.
Ah.
A little glitch there.
So how could you ride a motorbike? Or it's no as if Holly could have created it, because how could Holly create it? Because 2,000 light years away. So it's not as if she's using the power. But
that's a good point.
So he had to have been one of the waxwork motorbikes. And he was using
of course, yeah.
But that's what I said. I think
that's
they
a good
were getting to the point where they were going down the route that they realised he has to have hard light. Because his next season, season 5, is when Legion comes in. Is it season
okay?
Legion? Let's see. Season 5.
Season 5, yeah. Yeah, first episode is Hollow Ship, which Gwen and I are going to watch tomorrow.
Yeah. And then there's Legions in it. The Inquisitor. No. So you've got Hollow Ship, Inquisitor, Terraform, Quarantine. Oh, Quarantine. Oh, it's superb. Yeah. I love Quarantine. Then you've got Angels and Demons and Angels, and then Back to Reality, which is another superb.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think the only one I can't even actually say what one is probably the worst one of that, because they're all fantastic. Although Terraform, if I suppose, out of the great, you've still got one that is the least great. But so Legions doesn't come into it. However,
Oh, that's right. They threw Lincoln in the cell with them, didn't they?
Because he becomes a hard light hologram, so he could touch stuff.
Mm.
And the only other time he could touch something, he blew up. Remember, Crichton, get the puncture repair kit and bring out Rachel. And he basically bangs through the door and goes again.
No.
It's just
one of those moments you actually felt sorry for Rimmer.
I know.
But did you know even here in Justice as well? They mentioned Rachel in it.
Interesting.
Because basically best friend, and he says except Rachel, but I've been seeing her behind his back.
Yes.
There's an interesting little thing on IMDb, and it says that the classic army motorcycle that Rimmer rides in one scene actually belonged to Chris Barry.
So he basically rides his own motorbike.
He collects them, yeah.
So there you go. He rides his own motorbike, but they wanted to keep it in, but he's a hologram, can't touch anything. So how did they ride it? Do you know what I mean?
It's interesting.
And you can guarantee they would probably says, no, you need to sit in the sidecar at the back and somebody else will need to drive it. And he said, no, my bike. So they said, okay. Because you imagine, I know when I had my Harley, nope, nobody else is riding it, it's mine. So
I think it's one of those moments you're just caught up in the story and laughing at the jokes. It passes you by at the time, doesn't it?
It's not a plot anchor or anything like that. It's just something you notice. But as I said, I'm one of these ones. It doesn't ruin it for me, but I can be pedantic. That, like for instance, when the first time a Dalek came out of the water and floated up this thingy, they're saying, "Oh, the Daleks can come out of the water," but you can see the water draining out of it. So where did all that water come from as it's gliding up? And it's obviously been pulled out the water. The water thingy, so the water went somewhere. So it's not as if it came out and it was just the water's trickling down it. You see the water gushing out at the bottom.
Yeah,
it shows you it's empty. And then the bit where it's even hovering up the stairs, and you're sitting there thinking, people are saying this is a big deal, but how could they be the scourges of the universe if they couldn't go up a stair?
This is true.
It's so I get wee picky, wee silly things like that. It doesn't ruin it for me. I still enjoy the programs and the things, but I can be pedantic with wee silly things. That's why
once you see them, you can't unsee them. That's the thing.
Well, I think
you don't ruin it for you. That's fine, but you do notice wee silly things.
Yeah,
I think in some of the comic strips, I think the Daleks had gravity discs or something. So that was
they used to have the large gravity discs, basically
something like that, wasn't it? Yeah,
enormous thing. That it basically was a half moon barrier in front of them. It was like 2 gravity discs either side. Not that I've read all these comics as well.
Yes, vague memory from years ago.
It's basically, but it's these silly things like that. You're sitting there thinking, doesn't ruin it. But if I notice it, how many other people have noticed it, and how many of the people who were writing it noticed it and still kept it in because it looked good, which you can't deny. Chris, that motorbike looked great, but he's a hologram and he shouldn't be able to touch anything. So in the same season, 3 times or once you see it, and twice they talk about it. Like for instance, in Camille with Crichton falling, he's calling for Rimmer to help him, even if Rimmer was standing there, couldn't help him. It's the thing. As I said, I notice wee silly things,
but that's an amazing skill to pick up all that detail as well. But it's like I say, once you see it, if you're tuned to sort of pick those details up, it doesn't spoil it necessarily, but it just makes you a lot more aware of all those different little elements of the episode.
There you go. Legion is season 6.
Okay.
And Saduka is looking forward to season 5, Angels and Demons. And in Terraform, yes, and it is because it's his psyche the Thigh Moon is built from. So yes, he has to have. I'm looking forward to next week. I knew Daniel would bring up that Doctor Who story because no matter what he says, he still loves it.
Yeah, there he goes.
Yeah,
He does. And that's a good thing about good programs. No matter what happens
Yep.
to it later on, you can still enjoy the good stuff.
Yep,
oh yes,
exactly.
we do. We do.
Exactly.
Yeah, and my room proves it. I don't watch the new stuff. Disney stopped all my Doctor Who stuff in my room.
Yeah.
Davros, Special Weapons Dalek.
Yes.
Mind you, see that.
Excellent. Oh yeah, I can see that now. Great.
Bessie,
Oh,
Oh,
wonderful.
Bessie.
Mining Corp badge. Jupiter Mining Corp badge.
Okay.
Babylon 5, Magic, Lauren Hardy. A wee alien. That's my wee alien.
Oh,
Excellent.
yeah.
Can I
That's
see too?
cool.
But I've got, I may need my Route 66, my Spider-Man, my Judge Dredd, Babylon 5, and Urwally. Urwally. That's only some of the pins I've got. Other ones up there, but I didn't want to put too much on it. I don't
Yeah, I
use it.
think that's.
It's because I've got the big sponge on this thing. But
Oh, yeah, yeah.
good.
Which one's that? Can't quite see it.
Ah, I can see it
Ah,
now.
love it.
I've got the paper as well.
I like that it's got a barcode on it for the hologram.
Yes.
That's a scudder.
That's,
My
I
scupper.
love them.
The Scutter's got a pride of place. Nothing to do with
Fantastic.
the fact that I'm
Yay.
actually doing these seasons. The Scutter's got pride of place, so it has.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But I've got the Tom
Wait.
Baker one as well, so I have. And I think I've just
Yeah.
actually snapped him. I'll need to reglue him. But, so, season 4, what was your overalls? What was your overall thoughts of it? Sorry. Your overalls, as in what you were wearing this? No, it's
Yeah.
what your overall thoughts.
As I said earlier, I think it's just the series just builds from series. You know, each season gets better. It's oh look out! I'm talking to Red Dwarf. I've actually got the cat here now on my desk. He's looking.
He is pretty much like Cat as well. This is mine. Everything here is mine.
Yes.
Yes,
I liked this
I used to
season a
have
lot.
one of those.
I
I
thought
was
this
hoping
season
it
was.
was a spray
Hey,
can.
sit there and behave.
Good luck with that.
See, my two dogs are different. See if I let them in the room. If
He's
I'm
looking for
talking
a
to anybody,
dreamy.
they want to see who I'm talking to.
Ah,
They're
that's
luckily
really
nosy. They
interesting.
go up.
Come and have a look. Yeah.
So there's two ladies in my work. As soon as the dogs hear their voice, they come firing through.
Really?
Don't
Have
know
they
what
ever
it is.
actually?
I don't know if it's the tone, but the two of them are desperate to see them up at the screen.
That's something. Yeah.
Other people in my work, they'll just sort of, okay, who are you talking to? Let's see, and their nose up, but they just sit back down. The two ladies
Yeah.
in my work, they basically love the sound of their voice and want to be. They jump up my desk and sit on my desk so they can see the screen in front of my keyboard when I'm trying to work, talking to these ladies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically,
Well,
it's a nightmare. But
I had
the two of them love dogs, so I'm okay with it.
Well, exactly. I had a funny moment this week. I had a quick Teams call with a colleague in work, and fortunately, it was quite an informal chat. And while it was on Teams, one of our cats came, and he loves to clutch and sort of. He literally was just hanging off my neck, like a scarf. And he was like Velcroed to me, and I was just carrying on the conversation. I'm so used to him doing it. It must have been so weird.
Well, the funniest thing that ever happened when I had my two cats, that was years ago. I was living in the pod, and I had my motorbike. So I would come in with all my motorbike gear on, and if the door went, I would open the door, and I would deliberately not take my motorbike jacket off or my motorbike trousers, because my two cats would go and climb up my leg, my back, and sit on my shoulders to see who was at the door.
Wow. That's
Most
brilliant.
of the time, I had to keep my motorbike gear on in the house,
Yeah.
unless I knew nobody was coming to the door. Because they would literally climb up. I did it once, and I never did it again. I was wearing my shirt, come in from my work, took my bike jacket off, my bike trousers, sat down, door went, answered it, and they went up my dress trousers and my shirt, climbed up onto my back. My back was red for a week. My shirt was ruined because it had pinholes in it and it had blood on it where they'd cut my skin.
Yeah.
Luckily enough, they were
Roscoe's got
kittens at the
talons as
time,
well.
but they used to sit on my shoulder and look out at people. So I had to keep my bike gear on if I was working.
Just for protection.
Just for protection. But that was, my cats used to do that all the time, and people didn't believe me. They used to sit on my shoulder like parrots.
Yeah.
Nosy buggers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Who's coming to my door, they would say.
Oh God, yeah. It's not your door, it's their door. I was laughing the other day because if I'm holding our one cat, he likes to be carried around, and I usually say to Darren, I'm the cat's name is Roscoe, and I said I'm usually Roscoe's Tesselecta, going back to an old Doctor Who episode, because I'm sort of the big machine that just carries him around. He's like, I want to go in that room now. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I've got two. One of them's two dogs. One is a case of, I'll do my own thing, leave me alone, unless I want to see what you're doing. The other one is, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And he's literally got anxiety issues, so he always wants to be with you, and he always wants to see what you're doing. Oh. So when I'm on, he's through my wife, because as soon as my door's shut, he knows he can't get in, so he'll just go and find somebody else to actually annoy. So he goes through and just lies there. But most of the time, if I'm working during the day and he hears the team's call and it hears those two ladies, he comes flying through. It doesn't matter if he's getting food through there, he hears those two voices, he'll come flying through. Really weird. I don't know what it is about their voices, but they really love it. But a silly thing, I'm assuming you don't know anything about Magic the Gathering, so you wouldn't have anything to do. Like, there's a channel called The Command Zone. It's a Magic the Gathering one, and there's two guys on it. And every time at night, I would watch it at night, having a cigarette, and one of my dogs would bark all the time. I'm sitting there thinking, what are you barking for? There's nothing out here. Then I realised half the time I'm watching YouTube, nothing. Anytime I was watching one of the channels, one of the guys' voice must either be slightly higher pitched or slightly lower, but it must have irritated one of the dogs. And every time he heard his voice, he barked. And I'm sitting there thinking, really? I can't watch Command Zone when I'm actually having a cigarette, or else you're going to bark the place down at night so everybody can hear. So I used to go nuts. Had to actually put headphones in just so I could watch the Command Zone without the dogs going nuts. It's weird with the voices. One voice really annoys them, another voice, the two of them get excited and want to see. I was trying to get the voice where that annoys them, so hopefully they would run away from me a lot of the time, but they don't. I've got too many treats on my desk.
Yeah.
I've got a drawer full of them here as well. My wife goes nuts with me because the dog's like that. And she says, stop feeding him. What? I'm just treating his diet like I would treat my diet. I don't do them.
Nope.
So anytime somebody says the dog's on a diet, nope, he's on the same type of diet I'm on. If I want to give him something to eat, he'll get something to eat. If I want something to eat, I'm eating it. Don't care if I'm diabetic or not. If I'm hungry, I'll eat.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. I'm a bad boy.
It's hard to be good around food like that.
Yeah.
My weakness is chips.
Oh, chips and curry sauce.
I'm like the Cookie Monster.
Oh, yes.
Chips. I grow blue fur and googly eyes.
But see, I love chips and curry sauce, but my favourite is spaghetti, homemade spaghetti. And it's the thing is, I won't eat it out at all. I love my family spaghetti, but I don't touch anybody else's.
Yeah.
I don't like tomato ketchup or a tomato puree or anything like that.
Yeah.
Unless it's my mum's one or one that my sister makes because she knows the recipe.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
To learn how to do it. But if I go anywhere and there's spaghetti, it has to be a carbonara. I will not touch a tomato-based one. Yet, I love the one I grew up with.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of tomato-based anything really. But so I'm more of a savory, like spaghetti. I love all pasta. But it does very much depend on where you get it, and it's great if you can make your own. If you can do homemade, wow, that's brilliant.
Well, my mum used to, but pasta.
Yeah.
But my sister actually can make the conserve, so that's the main part of it. Pasta itself. My mum actually got annoyed at me because she used to say I wasn't eating enough. And I says, the only thing is, she says, I'll give you something for your lunch every day. I says, well, I'm not going to come to your house every day to get my lunch because I work at the other side of the city. I live at the other side of the city, so I'm not going to come down here all the time. So she bought me a pasta maker. Do you know what it was? Do you know what it was? A tube that size. That thick. And what you did was you just put the pasta in it, poured boiling water in it, left it for 10 minutes, and then turned it upside down. It drained the water and the pasta was perfect.
Do you know what? We had one of those. I had, and it had like the sieve bit on the top.
Yep.
Yeah, and you put the top on and you turned it upside down. Yeah, it was supposed to like cook the pasta perfectly. Yeah.
So my mum gave me a week's worth of frozen conserve that she had made, and she says it's the only one that she knew I would eat. So basically, I put that in, microwaved that, boiled that, and I was sitting there with spaghetti. And people are walking in saying, "How'd you get spaghetti in here?" Because there was no cooker or anything like that. They thought I basically brought a cooker in or something like that.
Yeah, that's
fab. That's how you get spaghetti. My mum showed me how to do it. It's not bad for a 35-year-old, but my mum showed me how to do it. But,
that's what mums do.
Exactly. Keep me going. I know. But I'm looking forward to next week, season 5. Thank you both very much for coming on. Do you want to give your channel, Twitter account a shout out?
Yeah, I don't have a YouTube channel per se, but I am on Twitter at Wendology1, I think it comes up as for some reason. And that's just me. Yeah, I'm mostly on Twitter and just pop up in the chats now and then, try to get about into different channels and chats. And there's some just fantastic YouTubers out there, and yourself included. So we're really honored to be asked back again. Thank you.
Yes, we enjoyed
it. Definitely won't be the last time.
Oh, great. Well,
we
look forward to it. Thank you for having us.
Definitely. Darren, you want to give a shout out to your channel?
Well, we don't have a channel as such, but like when I'm on Twitter as well. And there's also if I can do a plug for Derek Books, is where I put some of my sci-fi work out. That's out there online on Twitter, Facebook, and other places. So, and Wen and I are sort of hatching plans for our own channel as well on YouTube. So we're working on that at the moment.
That will be a channel. Definitely. You let us know when you've got it up and running.
Thank you. We will.
Oh, thanks.
I'll be your
first
subscriber. I'll be your
cool.
We're kicking around some ideas at the moment, so we're hoping to get something going on that in the near future.
Yep. And the links to Darren stuff will be in the description. Darren, you send me that link and I'll put that in the description, so the link's there.
Right.
And remember,
I will do that straight away.
Yes, ideal. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, comment afterwards, because accordingly it hits the algorithm. I don't know what it means, but yay. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. But I know you all are on it. And thank you for joining us for season 4 of the Getting Better Red Dwarf.
Indeed.
And join us next week for season 5. And if next Wednesday, 8 o'clock same time, and if you wish, I'll be doing a channel on Wednesday, Sunday at 8 o'clock, discussing Blake 7 season 1 and Invasion of the Body Snatchers 1956, the classic.
Oh, see, I'm not that familiar with that one.
Oh.
I know I should be.
Different, but the same. If it's different enough to make it an individual, I've got both.
Yeah.
And the 70s one is superb.
I know I've probably seen it.
His name just went right out of my head. MASH, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Donald Sutherland. The one he goes, oh,
Yeah.
What about?
Yeah.
That is a really good one. This one was the original, and it is really good. But because it's older, some people say it's too slow, whatever. It's, to me, it's slightly better just because it's older. I like the classic.
Well, actually, yeah, it's a true classic, and it's the blueprint upon which the later one was done. So,
and it's definitely the 78. I think it was the one with Donald Sutherland is a superb remake. Not often do you get a remake which is almost as good as the original or better. I think they
That's
play
right.
on par with each other.
That's
And I
right.
think
Yeah.
it's because Donald Sutherland's on it. It was really good. He played it very well.
Yes.
But
definitely.
yes, so I will be on Sunday doing that. And thank you very much
Great.
for all the chat. Daniel,
Thanks, everybody.
24 went. Darren used to have been in the chat. I've just actually been looking. And we did have Retro Dicky earlier on.
We did. Yep. He had to
And-
sadly pop out earlier.
Yes, there's just a lot in
Daniel?
there, but thank you very much. Hey, if I had not mentioned Daniel, he would have shot me. I've already mentioned it. And if you want to go over to Daniel's, I'll put a link to his channel for Line of Duty every Tuesday.
Okay.
Lovely.
So thank you very much, ladies
Right.
and gentlemen. And
Thank you. Good night.
good night. And remember,
Yep.
I'm not old, I'm classic. PJ may be out.